The night Victoria Langford knelt down in the grass to look a 7-year-old girl in the eyes and promised she wouldn't disappear, she had no idea that promise would nearly destroy everything she'd built. 3 months later, standing in Caleb Ward's small apartment kitchen at 2 in the morning, watching his daughter burn with fever while he panicked in the pharmacy parking lot, Victoria finally understood what she'd actually signed up for. This wasn't a romance. This wasn't a relationship. This was a test of whether a woman who'd spent her entire adult life building an empire could survive the collapse of every wall she'd ever constructed around her heart. If you want to know whether love can survive when two broken people try to build something real, stay until the end. Hit that like button and drop a comment with your city so I can see how far this story travels. The glow of Caleb Ward's laptop screen cast pale blue light across the cramped Denver apartment kitchen. It was 11:47 p.m. on a Thursday night, and the only sounds were the distant hum of traffic on Colfax Avenue and the soft rhythm of his daughter's breathing from the bedroom down the hall. Caleb sat with his third cup of coffee growing cold beside a half-finished wireframe design for a client who wanted their app interface reimagined by Monday. At 32, this was his life. Stolen hours after bedtime, racing against deadlines while the rest of the world slept, building other people's digital dreams while his own remained carefully packed away. He rubbed his eyes and reached for his phone, intending to set an alarm for 6 a.m. Instead, his thumb hovered over a familiar purple icon he hadn't opened in 4 months. The dating app sat there like a time capsule from a different version of himself. Caleb had downloaded it during what his friend Marcus called his hopeful phase. That brief window 6 months after the divorce papers were signed, when he'd convinced himself he was ready to try again. He'd gone on exactly 3 dates. The first woman had seemed lovely until she'd asked, almost casually over appetizers, whether he'd consider getting a real job with benefits now that he was single. The second had smiled politely through dinner, then texted him later that night to say she wasn't ready for the complications of a child. The third had never shown up at all. After that, Caleb had let the app sit dormant, a digital ghost he occasionally noticed but never opened. Tonight, for reasons he couldn't quite articulate, he tapped it. The interface loaded with that algorithmic cheerfulness that always felt slightly aggressive at midnight. Faces appeared in neat rows, carefully curated photographs of strangers in exotic locations, holding cocktails at rooftop bars, posing with rescue dogs and surfboards in carefully casual confidence. Caleb was about to close it when a profile stopped his scrolling finger. Victoria Langford, 30, CEO, Denver. The photo wasn't like the others. She wasn't on a mountain peak or at a gallery opening. She was sitting at what looked like a coffee shop, caught mid-laugh, her dark hair falling across one shoulder, her expression completely unguarded. The image had that accidental quality of genuine joy. Someone had captured a real moment instead of manufacturing one. Her bio was 3 sentences. Built a company, forgot to build a life, trying to fix that. Probably failing. Caleb felt something shift in his chest, a recognition he didn't expect. He swiped right before he could overthink it. The match notification appeared instantly. His heart actually jumped. When had that last happened? Before he could decide what to do, a message arrived. Victoria. Well, that was fast. Either you're very decisive or very desperate. I'm hoping for the former. Caleb found himself smiling at the screen. Caleb. Decisive sounds better. Let's go with that. Victoria. Good call. So what brings you to the land of last chance digital romance at midnight on a Thursday? Caleb. Insomnia and questionable life choices. You? Victoria. Same, but with better coffee. Just left the office. Noticed I've been working 80-hour weeks and haven't had a conversation that wasn't about quarterly projections in 6 months. Caleb. CEO, right? That actually true? Or is that the digital equivalent of saying you're a model/actress? Victoria. Painfully true. Tech startup. We make software that helps hospitals manage patient data. Very sexy dinner conversation, I promise. Caleb. Interface designer here. I make buttons look pretty. We'd be a devastating combination at parties. Victoria. Oh God, we'd be those people. Well, actually, the UX on this cocktail menu is terrible. Caleb. The typography is giving me anxiety. Victoria. Okay, I laughed out loud. My assistant just walked past my office and now thinks I'm losing it. Caleb. You're still at the office? Victoria. Technically, I'm always at the office. The office is a state of mind. Caleb. That sounds exhausting. Victoria. It is. Hence the dating app at midnight. What's your excuse? Caleb hesitated, his fingers hovering over the keyboard. This was always the moment where he had to decide whether to be honest or strategic, whether to reveal the complexity up front or wait until it felt safer. He thought about Lily sleeping in the next room, about the careful architecture of their small, predictable life, about all the ways honesty had burned him before. Then he thought about that profile bio. Probably failing. Someone who admitted failure might understand his. Caleb, single dad, daughter 7. She's asleep in the next room, which is the only reason I'm allowed to pretend to have a social life. He hit send and immediately regretted it. Too much, too fast. He'd just handed her an easy exit. The 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Victoria. Okay, that's actually the most honest thing anyone said to me on here. Everyone else is very concerned with telling me about their hiking habits and their entrepreneurial mindset. Caleb. I do neither of those things. I'm a terrible hiker, and my entrepreneurial mindset is mostly panic. Victoria. See? Now that I believe. What's her name? Your daughter. Caleb. Lily. Victoria. Pretty name. Does she let you sleep, or is that not a thing 7-year-olds do? Caleb. She's actually great at sleeping. I'm the one who's broken. Spent too many years listening for her breathing in the baby monitor. Can't seem to turn it off. Victoria. That's actually really sweet, in a slightly anxious way. Caleb. I contain multitudes of anxiety. Victoria. Don't we all? Can I ask you something? Caleb. Sure. Victoria. Why are you really on here? Like, actually. Caleb stared at the question. The cursor blinked patiently, waiting for him to decide who he was going to be in this moment. Caleb. Honest answer, I don't know. I opened this app on impulse tonight. Haven't touched it in months. I guess some part of me is tired of just existing, of only being dad, of letting my whole life be defined by one role, even if it's the most important one. Victoria. I get that. Different version, same feeling. I'm so much CEO that I forgot there's supposed to be a person underneath. People keep telling me I need balance, like it's something you can just download. Caleb. Is there an app for that? Victoria. If there is, I haven't found it, and I've looked extensively while working. Caleb. That feels very on brand. Victoria. Shut up. They talked until 1:30 a.m., then 2 o'clock. Then Caleb noticed the time and felt a jolt of panic. He had to be up with Lily in 4 hours. Caleb. I should sleep. Parental obligations start early. Victoria. Yeah, I should probably see my apartment at some point. It's been a while. Caleb. This was unexpected. Victoria. Good unexpected? Caleb. Very good unexpected. Victoria. Want to make it less unexpected? Coffee sometime this week? Caleb's breath caught. The easy thing would be to deflect, to keep this safely digital, to protect the careful boundaries he'd built. Caleb. Yeah, I'd like that. Victoria. Saturday afternoon, there's a place called Stella's on 17th. 2 o'clock? Caleb. I'll need to arrange a sitter, but yeah, Saturday works. Victoria. Good. Don't stand me up, interface designer. Caleb. Wouldn't dream of it, CEO. He closed the app and sat in the quiet kitchen, his heart doing something it hadn't done in years, hoping. Saturday arrived with the kind of crisp October weather that made Denver feel like the opening scene of a movie about second chances. Caleb had changed his shirt 3 times before Lily noticed. Why do you look so weird? She asked from the doorway of his bedroom, clutching her favorite stuffed rabbit. I don't look weird, Caleb said, examining himself in the mirror with the critical eye of someone who hadn't been on a real date in 3 years. You're wearing the shirt you only wear when we see Grandma. That's not true. It is true. And you smell like the cologne Marcus gave you for Christmas. Caleb turned to look at his daughter. She was standing there in her purple pajamas with the unicorns, her dark hair tangled from sleep, looking at him with those enormous brown eyes that saw absolutely everything. I have a meeting, he said carefully. On Saturday? Yes. What kind of meeting? A coffee meeting. Lily considered this with the gravity of a federal judge. Is it a date? Caleb felt his face flush. How do you even know what a date is? Emma's mom goes on dates all the time. She wears sparkly dresses and comes home really late. Well, I'm not wearing a sparkly dress. You should. You'd look pretty. Despite his nerves, Caleb laughed. Thanks, kid. But no sparkly dress today. So it is a date. He knelt down to her level. It's just coffee with someone I talked to online. That's all. Nothing big. Lily studied him with an expression that was far too wise for 7 years old. Is she nice? I think so. I hope so. What if she doesn't like me? The question landed like a stone in Caleb's chest. This was the fear he'd been trying not to name, the reason he'd avoided this entire situation for so long. First of all, everyone likes you, he said, brushing a strand of hair from her face. You're the most likable person I know. Second, this is just coffee. She's not going to meet you today. But what if she meets me later and doesn't like me? Caleb pulled her into a hug, breathing in the strawberry scent of her shampoo. Then she's not the right person, he said quietly. Anyone who doesn't like you isn't someone I want in our life. Deal? Deal, Lily mumbled into his shoulder. The doorbell rang. Marcus, arriving right on time to babysit. Remember, Marcus said as Caleb grabbed his jacket, be yourself. Unless yourself is going to talk about fonts for 40 minutes, then be someone else. I talked about fonts one time. It was a first date, man. You lectured that poor woman about kerning. Kerning matters. Not on a first date, it doesn't. Lily giggled from the couch, and Caleb felt something loosen in his chest. This was good. This was normal. Just coffee with a stranger. Nothing to fear. He had no idea how wrong he was. Stella's Coffee was the kind of place that tried very hard to be quirky without being annoying. Exposed brick, mismatched furniture, baristas with carefully cultivated facial hair, and a chalkboard menu that used way too many puns. Caleb arrived 15 minutes early and immediately regretted it. Now he had to sit here, visibly alone, visibly nervous, visibly a person on a first date. He ordered a coffee he didn't want and claimed a small table near the window, checking his phone every 30 seconds like it might spontaneously generate a good excuse to leave. At exactly 2 o'clock, the door opened. Victoria Langford walked in, and Caleb felt the air shift. She wasn't dressed like a CEO today. She wore dark jeans, a simple gray sweater, and white sneakers that had clearly logged some actual miles. Her hair was pulled back in a loose ponytail, and she wasn't wearing the kind of makeup that suggested effort. She looked like someone who'd woken up and decided to be exactly herself. She spotted him immediately and smiled, not the polite smile of obligation, but the real thing. Please tell me you're not one of those people who shows up 30 minutes early and makes the other person feel like they're late, she said, sliding into the chair across from him. Only 15 minutes, Caleb said. I'm not a monster. Debatable. She flagged down a barista and ordered an espresso without looking at the menu. So, interface designer. How does one get into making buttons look pretty? Accidentally, Caleb said. I was studying graphic design in college, took one UX class, and got obsessed with the idea that design should actually be useful instead of just decorative. Revolutionary concept. Right? Who knew? And now you freelance? Yeah. It gives me flexibility with Lily's schedule. I can work weird hours, take her to school, be there when she needs me. That must be hard, though. Freelancing, the instability. Caleb shrugged. It has its moments, but I've built up enough regular clients that it's mostly okay. And honestly, I'll take instability over missing her childhood. Victoria's expression shifted, something thoughtful moving behind her eyes. That's a good answer, she said quietly. What about you? Caleb asked. How does someone end up running a tech company at 30? By accidentally caring too much about a problem. She wrapped her hands around her espresso cup. I was working as a project manager at a hospital. Watched the nursing staff fight with about 6 different software systems that didn't talk to each other. Saw how much time they wasted, how many errors happened because information fell through the cracks. I thought, this is stupid. This is solvable. So you solved it. I tried. built a prototype, pitched it to the hospital board. They said no. So I quit my job, maxed out 3 credit cards, and started building it anyway. That's terrifying. It was. Still is, honestly. Every day I wake up responsible for 43 employees, wondering if I'm about to make the decision that destroys everything. But you keep doing it. Can't seem to stop. It's like, I know how to do this. I know how to build companies and manage teams and pitch investors. What I don't know how to do is, she gestured vaguely, this, people, life outside the office. Hence the dating app. Hence the dating app. She smiled ruefully. My therapist has been suggesting I try to have a personal life for about 2 years now. You have a therapist? Doesn't everyone in their 30s? Fair point. They talked for 2 hours. The coffee grew cold, the afternoon light shifted, and neither of them noticed. They talked about Denver and the strange way the city had changed, about the mountains that Caleb never hiked and Victoria kept meaning to. They talked about work and the peculiar anxiety of being responsible for your own income, your own success, your own failure. And then, as the conversation found its natural pauses, Victoria asked the question that changed everything. Can I ask about Lily's mom? Caleb felt his shoulders tense automatically. What do you want to know? Just what happened, if you want to talk about it. He looked out the window at the people walking past, living their uncomplicated Saturday afternoons. We got married too young, he said finally. I was 23, she was 22. We thought we were ready. Then Lily came along and everything got hard in ways we didn't expect. Sarah, my ex-wife, she struggled. Postpartum depression, anxiety, the whole thing. And I didn't know how to help. I was working 2 jobs, trying to keep us afloat, and I just wasn't there enough. That doesn't sound like it was your fault. It wasn't anyone's fault. That's what made it worse. We just couldn't be what each other needed. By the time Lily was 3, we were basically roommates who occasionally fought. The divorce was actually a relief. Does Sarah see Lily? Every other weekend. She's better now, got help, got medicated, got her life together. She's a good mom when she has the bandwidth. She's just not consistent. And you are. It wasn't a question. I try to be, Caleb said. Lily deserves that. She deserves at least one parent who's always there. Victoria was quiet for a moment, turning her espresso cup in slow circles on the table. That's a lot of responsibility for one person, she said. Yeah, but she's worth it. I believe you. Victoria met his eyes. Can I tell you something? Sure. I've never dated anyone with kids before. Caleb felt something cold settle in his stomach. Here it was, the exit he'd been waiting for. I'm not saying that to scare you off, Victoria continued quickly. I'm saying it because I want to be honest. I don't know what I'm doing here. I don't know if I'm capable of being part of someone's life when that life includes a whole other person who needs things I don't know how to give. I appreciate the honesty, Caleb said carefully. But, Victoria said, and the word hung in the air like a lifeline, I also know that I just spent 2 hours talking to you and didn't check my phone once. I know that I drove here thinking this was probably a waste of time, and now I'm actively trying to figure out how to make this conversation last longer. So I'm scared, and I'm interested, and I don't know which one is going to win. But I wanted you to know both are happening. Caleb felt something unknot in his chest, the tension he'd been carrying since she'd asked about Lily. That's fair, he said. For what it's worth, I'm also scared. Yeah? Terrified. You're smart and successful and frankly kind of intimidating, and I'm a single dad who works in his kitchen and wears the same hoodie 4 days a week. Victoria laughed, a real surprise laugh that made the couple at the next table glance over. That's the hoodie test, she said. Very important. What's the hoodie test? If you can admit you wear the same hoodie 4 days a week on a first date, you might actually be a trustworthy person. Or just a slob. Also possible, but I'm choosing to believe the former. They left the coffee shop together and walked without destination, following the October afternoon through Capitol Hill's tree-lined streets. They talked about music neither of them had time to listen to, books they kept meaning to read, the strange nostalgia of their early 30s for a version of their 20s that hadn't actually been as good as they remembered. Eventually they ended up at Cheeseman Park, sitting on a bench overlooking the pavilion as the sun began its slow descent toward the mountains. I should probably get back, Caleb said, though he made no move to stand. Yeah, Victoria said. Me too. Neither of them moved. Can I ask you something? Victoria said. Sure. What are you looking for? Like actually. Caleb thought about it, really thought about it. I don't know, he said honestly. For a long time I thought I didn't want anything, that my life was full enough with just Lily. But I think maybe I'm tired of being alone, not lonely. I have friends, I have my daughter, but alone in the way that matters. Like no one really sees the whole version of me anymore. Just the dad version, the worker version, the friend version, but not all of it. I get that, Victoria said quietly. I'm so much CEO that I forgot how to be Victoria. People meet me and they meet the resume, not the person. Who is the person? I'm still figuring that out, but I think she's someone who laughs more than she remembers. Someone who used to paint before she got too busy. Someone who says yes to things that scare her. Like first dates? Exactly like first dates. The sky was turning pink and gold, that particular Colorado sunset that made even the city feel like wilderness. Victoria stood and Caleb felt a stab of panic that the afternoon was ending. This was really nice, she said. Yeah, it was. Can we do it again? I'd like that. Next Saturday? Dinner this time? Caleb hesitated. Dinner meant evening, meant arranging another sitter, meant escalating this from casual coffee to something more intentional. Yeah, he said. Dinner sounds good. Victoria smiled, and there was something different in it this time, something cautious but hopeful. Don't overthink it, she said. I can see you starting to overthink it. I'm not. You are. Your left eye does this little squint thing when your brain starts spinning. That's not a thing. It's absolutely a thing, but it's okay. I do the same thing, usually around 3 a.m. when I can't sleep. She stepped closer, and for a moment Caleb thought she might kiss him. Instead, she squeezed his hand, brief and warm and exactly right. Text me, she said. Don't make me wait 3 days like this is some weird dating rulebook. I won't. She walked away across the park, and Caleb watched her go, his hand still warm where she'd touched it. He pulled out his phone. Caleb. Made it home yet, CEO? The response came 30 seconds later. Victoria. Still walking. Already breaking your promise not to make me wait. Caleb. I contain multitudes. Victoria. So I'm learning. Same time next week? Caleb. It's a date. Victoria. Good. Don't wear the fancy shirt. The regular you is better. Caleb smiled at his phone like an idiot and headed home, where Lily would be waiting with 1,000 questions and Marcus would be demanding details. For the first time in 3 years, he let himself feel it. The strange, terrifying possibility that maybe his life wasn't finished changing after all. The week between that first date and their dinner reservation felt longer than it should have. Caleb found himself checking his phone with embarrassing frequency, like a teenager waiting for a text from his crush. Victoria seemed to be doing the same thing because their messages came at odd hours, her at midnight after finally leaving the office, him at dawn before Lily woke up. Both of them stealing moments from their carefully structured lives to maintain this fragile new connection. Victoria. Question. Do you actually like Italian food, or were you just being polite when I suggested that place? Caleb. I love Italian food. Why, Victoria? Because I just realized I picked the restaurant without asking what you wanted. Very CEO of me. Very annoying. Caleb. It's fine. I would have said something if I hated it. Victoria. Would you, though? Caleb. Probably not. I'm Midwestern. We suffer politely. Victoria. You're from Kansas? Caleb. Wisconsin originally, close enough. Victoria. That explains so much about you. Caleb. Is that a compliment? Victoria. I haven't decided yet. On Wednesday evening, Marcus came over with Thai takeout and the kind of knowing expression that made Caleb want to throw a pillow at him. So, Marcus said, settling onto the couch while Lily played with her Legos in the corner. You've been smiling at your phone for 4 days straight. I'm either happy for you or concerned you've joined a cult. I haven't joined a cult. That's what someone in a cult would say. Can you be supportive for once in your life? I am being supportive. I brought pad thai. That's basically a love language. Marcus took a bite of spring roll, watching Caleb with the attention of someone who'd known him since college. You really like her? It wasn't a question. Yeah, Caleb admitted. I really do. Which is probably stupid. It's been one date. One great date, apparently. It was. Caleb struggled to find the words. She's real, you know? Not playing games, not pretending to be someone she's not. She told me straight up that she's scared of dating someone with a kid. Just put it out there. And that didn't freak you out? The opposite, actually. It felt honest, like we could actually talk about the hard stuff instead of pretending it doesn't exist. Marcus nodded slowly. That's good. That's really good, man. You deserve that. Do I, though? The question came out before Caleb could stop it. Because my track record isn't exactly inspiring confidence. Your track record is one marriage that didn't work out. That's not a pattern. That's just life. I have a 7-year-old daughter, Marcus. I work from home in my pajamas half the time. I can barely afford this apartment. What do I have to offer someone like her? Someone like her? She runs a company. She's successful, ambitious, has her life together. And she's on a dating app at midnight because she's lonely, Marcus interrupted. Just like you. She's not looking for a resume, Caleb. She's looking for a person. Stop trying to disqualify yourself before you even start. From the corner, Lily's voice piped up. What's disqualify mean? Both men turned to look at her. She was sitting cross-legged on the floor, carefully building what appeared to be a Lego castle, but her eyes were fixed on them with unsettling focus. It means giving up before you try, Marcus said smoothly, which your dad is very good at. I am not. You are, Lily said matter-of-factly. You always say you're going to learn guitar, and then you don't. That's different. Is it, though? Marcus grinned. Caleb threw the pillow. That Saturday, he dropped Lily off at Sarah's apartment for her weekend visit. His ex-wife answered the door in yoga pants and an oversized sweatshirt, her blonde hair pulled back in a messy bun. She looked tired but stable, the version of herself that had emerged after 2 years of therapy and medication adjustments. Hey, she said, stepping aside to let Lily barrel past into the apartment. You look nice. Going somewhere? Just dinner with a friend. Sarah's eyebrow arched. A friend who requires the good genes? Interesting. It's not. Caleb, I've known you for 12 years. You only wear those jeans on dates. She leaned against the doorframe, her expression shifting to something gentler. It's okay. You're allowed to date. You know that, right? I know. Do you? Because you've been a single monk for 3 years. That's not healthy. I've been focused on Lily. Lily is fine. Lily is great. And she'd probably benefit from seeing her dad happy occasionally. Sarah glanced back into the apartment where Lily was already sprawled on the couch with an iPad. Who is she? Her name's Victoria. We met online. And it's been one date. Let's not plan the wedding. I'm not planning anything. I'm just saying it's good to see you try. You shut down after we split. Totally understandable, but also kind of sad to watch. Caleb shifted his weight, uncomfortable with the intimacy of the conversation. Their relationship had found an equilibrium over the years, friendly but distant, focused entirely on Lily's well-being rather than their own history. This felt like stepping outside those boundaries. I should go, he said. Yeah, have fun. Don't do that thing where you interview her about her life plans. I did that once. You did it on our 3rd date, and I almost left. But you didn't. Yeah, well, Sarah smiled sadly. That's a whole different story, isn't it? Go. Be spontaneous for once. Stop planning everything to death. The restaurant Victoria had chosen was called Barolo, tucked into a brick building in the Highlands with low lighting and the kind of wine list that made Caleb nervous. He arrived exactly on time, not early this round, having learned from his coffee shop anxiety, and found Victoria already seated at a corner table, scrolling through her phone with the focused intensity of someone who couldn't stop working even when they were supposed to be relaxing. She looked up as he approached, and her whole face changed. The CEO mask dropped, replaced by something warmer and more vulnerable. Hey, she said, putting her phone face down on the table. I promised myself I wouldn't look at email tonight, and I've already failed twice. What's the crisis? There's always a crisis. Tonight it's a server migration that's apparently going sideways, but my CTO assures me he can handle it without burning down the entire infrastructure. Reassuring, right? She gestured to the chair across from her. Sit. Save me from myself. If I look at my phone again, you have permission to throw breadsticks at me. Caleb sat, and a server appeared immediately with menus and water. They ordered wine, a red that Victoria chose without hesitation, the kind of casual confidence that came from actually knowing about wine rather than pretending to. So, Victoria said once the server had left, how was your week? Honestly, kind of surreal. I kept waiting for the other shoe to drop. What shoe? The one where you realized dating a single dad is too complicated and ghosted me. Victoria's expression shifted, something flickering across her face that might have been hurt. I don't ghost people, she said quietly. If I'm done, I say I'm done. I don't just disappear. Sorry, I didn't mean to imply. It's okay. I get it. You've been burned before. She took a sip of water. But for the record, I've been checking my phone every 20 minutes all week, hoping you'd text me. So if anyone's being pathetic here, we're tied. Caleb felt something relax in his chest. Okay, good. I thought maybe I was imagining the whole thing. What whole thing? That we actually connected. That it wasn't just me projecting because I'm starved for adult conversation. It wasn't just you. Victoria met his eyes across the table. I don't usually do this. Dating, letting people in. It feels dangerous in a way that closing a business deal never does. Because business has rules? Exactly. Business makes sense. You pitch. They counter. You negotiate. Everyone knows what they're getting. This, she gestured between them. There are no rules, no guarantees, just two people hoping they don't fuck it up. The wine arrived, and they both took grateful sips. Can I ask you something? Caleb said. Always. Why now? Why decide to try dating after all this time? Victoria was quiet for a moment, turning her wine glass in slow circles on the white tablecloth. I woke up on my 30th birthday alone in my apartment, she said finally. I'd worked a 16-hour day, came home, opened a bottle of champagne, drank one glass, and fell asleep on the couch. The next morning I woke up and realized I couldn't remember the last time I'd had a conversation that wasn't about work. Couldn't remember the last time someone touched me in a way that wasn't a handshake. And I thought, this can't be it. This can't be the whole story. So you downloaded a dating app. Not right away. First I panicked. Then I threw myself into work even harder because that's what I do when I'm scared. Then my therapist pointed out that I was using my company as an excuse to avoid dealing with the fact that I was deeply, profoundly lonely. And I got mad at her because she was right. Therapists are the worst that way. The absolute worst. Victoria smiled. What about you? What made you try again? Caleb thought about that night in his kitchen, the blue glow of his laptop, the strange impulse that had made him open the app. Lily asked me why I was sad, he said, about 2 months ago, just out of nowhere while I was making her breakfast. She said I looked sad all the time, even when I was smiling, and I realized she was right. I'd built this whole life around being her dad, making sure she was okay, keeping everything stable and predictable. But somewhere in there, I'd stopped actually living. I was just existing, going through the motions. That's heartbreaking. Yeah, it was. So I decided to try. Started small, opened the app, looked at profiles, told myself I'd eventually work up the courage to actually talk to someone. And then you talked to me. And then I talked to you. Caleb met her eyes. Which feels like it might have been the bravest thing I've done in years. Or the dumbest? Jury's still out. They ordered food, pasta for him, risotto for her, bread they both pretended they weren't going to eat before demolishing the entire basket. The conversation flowed like it had at the coffee shop, easy and natural, moving from topic to topic without effort. They talked about their families, her parents who'd retired to Arizona and called every Sunday to remind her she was working too hard, his mother who'd passed away when he was in college, and his father who'd remarried and moved to Florida. They talked about Denver and how the city had exploded in the past decade, gentrifying neighborhood after neighborhood until the place they'd both moved to felt almost unrecognizable. I bought my condo in Reno 5 years ago, Victoria said. Everyone thought I was crazy. Now it's worth triple what I paid. That's depressing for those of us renting. You rent? Yeah, 1 bedroom in Capitol Hill. Lily has the bedroom. I have a fold-out couch in the living room. Victoria blinked. You don't have your own bedroom? Nope, haven't for 3 years. It's fine. I'm not there much except to sleep. Caleb? What? That's not fine. You're allowed to have your own space. I have space. I have the whole living room. That you share with your work and your daughter's toys and apparently your bed. That's not space. That's just existing in the margins of your own life. The observation landed harder than she probably intended. Caleb felt something defensive rise in his chest. I'm doing the best I can with what I have, he said quietly. Victoria's expression immediately softened. I know, I'm sorry. That came out judgmental. I hate that you're sacrificing so much. It doesn't feel like sacrifice. It feels like being a parent. It can be both. They fell into silence, and Caleb felt the evening tilting towards something heavier. He searched for a way to pull it back. Tell me about your company, he said. You said you started it because the hospital software sucked. What happened next? Victoria seemed grateful for the subject change. Her whole posture shifted as she leaned forward, animated in a way she hadn't been moments before. So I quit my job, which in retrospect was insane. I had about 6 months of savings and this prototype that barely worked. I applied to every accelerator program I could find, got rejected by all of them except one. They gave me $20,000 and 3 months to prove the concept. Did you? Barely. I built a working demo, pitched it to 3 hospitals, got laughed out of 2 meetings, and a tentative yes from the 3rd. That yes turned into a pilot program. The pilot program worked. That hospital told another hospital. That hospital told 3 more. Within 18 months, I had 15 clients and no infrastructure to support them. So you built the infrastructure. I hired people smarter than me and let them build it. That's the secret no one tells you about running a company. Your job isn't to be the smartest person in the room. It's to hire the smartest people and get out of their way. How many employees do you have now? 43. Every one of them terrifies me because I'm responsible for their mortgages and their health insurance and their ability to pay rent. If I screw this up, it's not just me who suffers. That's a lot of pressure. It's constant. Some days I wake up and think, what the hell am I doing? I'm 30 years old. I should be figuring out my life, not running other people's. You are figuring out your life. Am I? Victoria laughed, but there was no humor in it. Because from where I'm sitting, I've built this thing that I can't walk away from. The company needs me. My employees need me. My investors need me. And somewhere in there, the actual human version of Victoria just vanished. She didn't vanish, Caleb said. She's sitting right here eating risotto and complaining about her life. That seems pretty human to me. Victoria smiled, and some of the tension left her shoulders. Fair point. Maybe she's just hiding. Maybe you're both allowed to exist, CEO Victoria and regular Victoria. Is there a regular Victoria anymore? I'm not sure I remember who she is. Want to know what I think? Always. I think she's the person who admitted she was scared on our first date. The person who texted me at midnight because she was lonely. The person who just spent 20 minutes talking about work and then caught herself and apologized. That's regular Victoria. She's still there. Victoria looked at him for a long moment, her dark eyes reflecting the candlelight. You're kind of good at this, she said softly. At what? Seeing people. Really seeing them. I have a 7-year-old. You learn to read subtext pretty fast when someone can't always articulate what they need. Is that what I am? A 7-year-old who can't articulate her needs? No, you're a 30-year-old who built a company instead of learning how to ask for what she wants. The words hung in the air between them. Victoria's expression shifted through several emotions Caleb couldn't quite name. Okay, she said finally. That might be the most accurate thing anyone's ever said about me. Too honest? Exactly honest enough. She reached across the table and touched his hand, brief and warm. Thank you. For what? For not letting me hide behind the CEO thing, for treating me like a person instead of a resume. Caleb turned his hand over, lacing his fingers through hers. The gesture felt enormous and terrifying and exactly right. You're welcome, he said. They stayed like that for a moment, hands linked across the table, the restaurant humming with life around them. Then Victoria's phone buzzed, face up on the table, and they both saw the message preview. Urgent. Server migration failing. Victoria closed her eyes. I know. I'm so sorry. I really wanted tonight to be just us. It's okay. Handle it. I'll get the check. She stood reluctantly, already typing a response with her free hand while her other still held his. Rain check? She asked. Absolutely. Tomorrow, lunch? Something quick where I can't get interrupted by work emergencies? I have Lily tomorrow. Sarah drops her off at noon. Victoria hesitated, and Caleb saw something shift in her expression. Calculation, maybe, or fear. Bring her, Victoria said. The words seemed to surprise them both. What? Bring Lily. Let's get lunch, the three of us. Caleb's heart actually stuttered. Are you sure? That's a big step. I know, but I can't keep existing in this bubble where I pretend you don't have a daughter. She's part of your life, and if I want to be part of your life too, then... She trailed off, looking uncertain for the first time all evening. Then you need to meet her, Caleb finished. Yeah, unless that's too fast. Is it too fast? I don't know the rules here. There are no rules, remember? Right, okay. So tomorrow, lunch, you, me, Lily, somewhere kid-friendly with chicken fingers. You know about chicken fingers? I was a child once. Vaguely remember the concept. Caleb laughed despite the anxiety blooming in his chest. This was happening. This was really happening. Okay, he said. Tomorrow, there's a place called Rosenberg's. Bagels and deli food. Very casual. Perfect. Text me the time. She squeezed his hand once more, then released it. I really am sorry about tonight. Don't be. Go save your servers. She kissed him on the cheek, quick and soft and completely unexpected, then grabbed her coat and hurried toward the door, phone already pressed to her ear. Caleb sat alone at the table, his cheek still warm where her lips had touched, his mind spinning with the impossible reality that tomorrow Victoria Langford was going to meet his daughter. He paid the check in a daze and walked home through the cooling October night, replaying every moment of the evening. By the time he reached his apartment, his phone was buzzing with a message. Victoria. Crisis averted. Server saved. CTO is a genius. I owe him a raise and my firstborn child. Caleb. Glad it worked out. Victoria. Are you freaking out about tomorrow? Caleb. Completely. Victoria. Good. Me too. At least we're panicking together. Caleb. Is this really happening? Victoria. I think so. Unless I imagined the whole thing, did I imagine asking to meet your daughter? Caleb. Nope. You definitely said that. Victoria. Okay, good. Terrifying, but good. Caleb. She's going to ask you a million questions. Fair warning. Victoria. I can handle questions. I pitch to investors for a living. How hard can one 7-year-old be? Caleb. Famous last words. Victoria. I'm choosing to ignore that. See you tomorrow. Don't let me chicken out. Caleb. Wouldn't dream of it. He set his phone down and stood in his small living room, looking around at the evidence of his carefully constructed life. Lily's drawings covered the refrigerator. Her toys spilled out of bins along the wall. His desk sat in the corner, laptop closed, client projects waiting. The pull-out couch he slept on every night, folded up and disguised as furniture. For 3 years this had been enough, more than enough. It had been his whole world. Now Victoria Langford was walking into it, and nothing would ever be quite the same. The next morning arrived with all the chaos of a regular Sunday. Lily needed breakfast, wanted to watch cartoons, demanded to know why they were going out for lunch when they never went out for lunch on Sundays. We're meeting a friend of mine, Caleb said, attempting casual while internally screaming. What friend? Her name is Victoria. She's nice. I think you'll like her. Lily looked at him with those enormous brown eyes that saw everything. Is she the date person? How do you... Yes, she's the person I had dinner with. Why are we meeting her? Because she asked to meet you. Why? Because... Caleb took a breath. Because if she and I are going to keep seeing each other, she should know you. You're the most important person in my life, Lily. Anyone who wants to be part of my life needs to be okay with being part of yours too. Well, Lily absorbed this with the seriousness of a federal investigation. What if I don't like her? The question he'd been dreading. Then we'll talk about it, Caleb said carefully. Your opinion matters to me, but I want you to give her a chance, okay? She's nervous too. Why is she nervous? Because meeting you is important. Because she wants you to like her. Oh. Lily seemed to consider this. Okay, but if she's mean, I'm telling you. Deal. They arrived at Rosenberg's 10 minutes early. Caleb had learned nothing from the coffee shop experience and was now trapped in the same anxious purgatory, except this time with a 7-year-old who kept asking questions. What does she look like? Pretty, dark hair, tall. Taller than you? No. Does she have kids? No. Why not? Not everyone has kids, Lily. But you do. Yes, I do. And I'm very glad about that. Even when I'm annoying? Even when you're annoying. The door opened and Victoria walked in, and Caleb felt his breath catch the same way it had every time he'd seen her. She was dressed down today, jeans, a simple blue sweater, her hair loose around her shoulders. She looked younger somehow, less armored. Her eyes found them immediately, and Caleb saw her take a breath before walking over. Hi, she said, and her voice was steadier than her expression. Hi, Caleb said. Victoria, this is Lily. Lily, this is Victoria. Lily stared up at her with undisguised curiosity. Victoria knelt down so they were at eye level, a gesture so natural Caleb felt something shift in his chest. Hey, Lily, Victoria said. Your dad's told me a lot about you. He told me about you too, Lily said. He said you run a company. I do. It's not as exciting as it sounds. What does your company do? We make software that helps hospitals take care of people better. That's important. I think so too. They stared at each other for a moment, two people sizing each other up with the kind of honesty only children and very brave adults could manage. Then Lily asked the question that stopped everything cold. Are you going to disappear like the last lady Dad dated? Caleb's heart stopped. The entire restaurant seemed to go silent around them, though objectively, nothing had changed. People still ate their bagels, still talked over coffee, still lived their normal Sunday lives, completely unaware that his 7-year-old daughter had just detonated a bomb in the middle of his fragile new relationship. Victoria didn't flinch. She stayed kneeling at Lily's eye level, her expression shifting from surprise to something deeper, something that looked like understanding mixed with pain. I won't disappear without telling you, Victoria said quietly, her voice steady despite the weight of the question. If things don't work out between me and your dad, I'll say goodbye. I promise you that. Lily studied her with those enormous brown eyes that had inherited Caleb's ability to see straight through people's defenses. People break promises, Lily said, and the casual way she delivered this devastating truth made Caleb's chest ache. You're right, Victoria said. They do. I can't promise I'll be perfect or that I won't make mistakes, but I can promise I won't just vanish. That's not who I am. How do I know? You don't. Not yet. You'll have to decide if you trust me, and that takes time. Victoria glanced up at Caleb, then back to Lily. But I'm willing to earn it if you're willing to give me the chance. Lily considered this with the gravity of someone deciding the fate of nations. Then she pointed at the menu board behind the counter. Do you like bagels? She asked. The abrupt subject change caught both adults off guard. Victoria blinked, then smiled, a real smile that reached her eyes. I love bagels, she said. What kind? Everything bagel with cream cheese, you? Cinnamon raisin with butter. Dad says that's not a real bagel, but I don't care. Your dad is wrong. Cinnamon raisin is an excellent bagel. I like you, Lily announced, as if she'd just completed a thorough background check and Victoria had passed. Then she grabbed Victoria's hand and tugged her toward the counter. Come on, we have to order before the line gets long. Victoria let herself be pulled along, glancing back at Caleb with an expression that was equal parts terrified and amazed. He followed them, his hands shaking slightly as the adrenaline of the past 60 seconds caught up with him. They ordered cinnamon raisin for Lily, everything for Victoria, plain with lox for Caleb, and claimed a small table near the window. Lily immediately launched into a monologue about her Lego collection, specifically a castle she was building that had taken her 3 weeks and was still missing a tower because they didn't have the right pieces. "What color do you need?" Victoria asked, genuinely interested. "Purple, but not regular purple, like sparkly purple. It's for the princess tower." "Obviously, all princess towers need sparkly purple." "Exactly. But Dad says we can't find that piece anymore because it's from an old set." "Have you tried looking online? There are websites where people sell individual Lego pieces." Lily's eyes went wide. "There are? Absolutely. I used to buy specific pieces all the time when I was your age. I was obsessed with building spaceships." "You played with Legos?" "Are you kidding? I had like 40 sets, drove my parents crazy because I'd leave pieces all over the house and they'd step on them." "That happens to Dad all the time." Lily dissolved into giggles. "He makes really funny sounds when he steps on them." "I bet he does." Caleb watched this exchange with something close to wonder. Victoria wasn't performing or trying too hard. She was just talking to Lily like a person, not a prop or an obstacle. The conversation flowed naturally, moving from Legos to school to Lily's best friend Emma, who apparently had a pet hamster that escaped every other week. "How do you keep losing a hamster?" Victoria asked, bemused. "Emma says he's really smart. He can open his cage." "That's a very smart hamster." "I want a hamster, but Dad says our apartment is too small." "Your apartment is pretty small," Victoria agreed, then caught Caleb's look. "What? It is. You literally sleep on the couch." "Victoria, it's fine," Lily said, completely unbothered. "Everybody knows Dad doesn't have a bedroom. He says it's okay because I need the space more." "That's very nice of him, but also kind of sad." "That's what Uncle Marcus says too." "Uncle Marcus is smart." Their food arrived, and they ate while Lily continued her interrogation disguised as casual conversation. She asked Victoria about her job, about where she lived, about whether she had any pets, no, whether she liked movies, yes, and what her favorite movie was, The Princess Bride, which earned an enthusiastic approval from Lily. "Do you have a boyfriend?" Lily asked suddenly, and Caleb nearly choked on his coffee. Victoria didn't miss a beat. "I'm working on that," she said, glancing at Caleb with a small smile. "Depends on how this lunch goes." "Oh." Lily processed this information while chewing her bagel. "Do you want Dad to be your boyfriend?" "Lily," Caleb started, but Victoria held up a hand. "It's okay," she said. Then, to Lily, "I do. I think your dad is really great, but that's something we're figuring out together." "What if I don't want you to be his girlfriend?" The question was asked without malice, just pure curiosity, but it landed like a stone in the center of the table. Victoria set down her bagel and looked at Lily with complete seriousness. "Then that would be really hard," she said honestly, "because your opinion matters to your dad. He's not going to date someone if it makes you unhappy. So I get to decide?" "Not exactly, but your feelings are important. If you really didn't want me around, your dad would listen to that." Lily seemed to absorb this, working through the implications with visible concentration. Then she looked at Caleb. "Do you like her?" she asked. Caleb felt his face flush. "Yes, I do." "Like really like her, or just normal like her?" "Really like her." "Okay." Lily turned back to Victoria. "You can be his girlfriend, but if you're mean to him, I'm going to be mad at you." Victoria's expression softened into something achingly tender. "That's fair. I promise to do my best not to be mean to him. And you have to come to my birthday party." "When's your birthday?" "December 15th. "I'll be there." "Okay, good." Lily took another bite of bagel, apparently satisfied that she'd negotiated acceptable terms. "Can we go to the park after this?" Caleb looked at Victoria, who nodded. "Sure," he said. "If Victoria wants to." "I want to," Victoria said, and she sounded like she meant it. They finished eating and walked the 3 blocks to Cheeseman Park, the same park where Caleb and Victoria had ended their first date. It felt surreal to be here again, but with Lily between them, chattering about the playground equipment and whether the swings would be occupied. The swings were not occupied. Lily claimed one immediately and demanded that Caleb push her, which he did while Victoria stood nearby, watching with an expression he couldn't quite read. "Higher!" Lily shrieked, her hair flying as she pumped her legs. If you go any higher, you're going to orbit, Caleb called back. That's okay, push me to space. Victoria laughed, and the sound made something warm bloom in Caleb's chest. She looked relaxed in a way he hadn't seen before, her shoulders loose, her face open. The CEO armor was completely gone. After 20 minutes of swings, Lily discovered the jungle gym and immediately began constructing an elaborate game that involved defeating a dragon and rescuing a princess who had been kidnapped by an evil wizard. She conscripted both adults into playing supporting roles. Caleb was apparently the wizard, and Victoria was the brave knight who had to help the princess escape. Why can't the princess escape by herself? Victoria asked, scaling the climbing structure with surprising agility. Because she's locked in a tower, Lily explained with exaggerated patience. Princesses in towers need help. That's the rule. What if the princess learned to pick locks? She doesn't know how. Then we should teach her. That's what knights do. We teach people how to save themselves. Lily paused, clearly recalibrating her entire narrative framework. Okay, you teach her lock-picking and then she escapes and then we fight the wizard together. Perfect. That's a much better story. Caleb watched from his designated position as the evil wizard, stunned by how naturally Victoria had reframed the entire game into something more empowering. Lily was eating it up, her imagination spinning this new version where the princess became the hero of her own story. They played for another hour, until Lily started to slow down and Caleb recognized the signs of an impending energy crash. He suggested ice cream, which was met with enthusiastic approval, and they walked to a small shop on 8th Avenue that Lily declared had the best chocolate chip in the whole world. They sat at a small outdoor table despite the October chill, eating ice cream and watching people walk their dogs through the neighborhood. Lily had chocolate smeared on her face and was telling Victoria an extremely complicated story about a substitute teacher at school who had accidentally called everyone by the wrong name. Victoria listened with genuine attention, asking follow-up questions and laughing at all the right moments. Caleb watched her watching his daughter and felt something dangerous expanding in his chest, something that felt alarmingly like hope. His phone buzzed. A text from Marcus. How's it going? Still alive? Caleb typed back. Better than expected. She's great with Lily. Marcus, of course she is. Stop waiting for disaster and enjoy it. Easier said than done, Caleb thought, but he pocketed his phone and tried to take the advice. When Lily's ice cream was gone and her eyelids were starting to droop, they walked back toward Caleb's apartment. Victoria's car was parked nearby, and they paused on the sidewalk in that awkward space where the afternoon had to end, but no one quite wanted it to. Thank you for today, Victoria said. For letting me meet her, for trusting me with something this important. Thank you for showing up, Caleb said. I know it was probably terrifying. It was, but also kind of wonderful. Victoria knelt down to Lily's level one more time. Hey, birthday girl. I had a really nice time hanging out with you today. Me too, Lily said, then surprised everyone by stepping forward and hugging Victoria. Victoria's arms came up automatically, wrapping around the small body with a tenderness that made Caleb's throat tight. When Lily pulled back, Victoria's eyes were suspiciously bright. See you soon? Lily asked. Definitely, Victoria said. Caleb walked Lily upstairs while Victoria headed to her car. Once his daughter was settled on the couch with a blanket and a movie, he came back down to find Victoria still standing by her vehicle, leaning against the driver's door like she was reluctant to leave. Hey, he said. Hey. She smiled, but there was something vulnerable in it. That was intense. Yeah. Sorry about the disappearing question. She's been burned before. Don't apologize. She's protecting herself and you. It's actually pretty amazing. She liked you. You think? I know. If she didn't, she would have made it very obvious. She's not subtle. Wonder where she gets that from. Definitely her mother. Victoria laughed, then grew serious. Can I tell you something? Always. I've been terrified of this moment for 2 weeks. Meeting your daughter, having her hate me, realizing I wasn't cut out for this. But today? She paused, searching for words. Today I kept waiting for it to feel wrong or forced or like I was playing a part. And it never did. It just felt real. It was real, Caleb said, stepping closer. All of it. I really want this to work, Victoria said quietly. I know it's only been a few weeks, and I know I'm supposed to play it cool and not care too much too fast, but I do care. About you, about this, about... She gestured vaguely toward his apartment building. About all of it. Caleb reached for her hand, lacing their fingers together the way he had at dinner. I care too, he said, which scares the hell out of me, if I'm being honest. Why? Because I've tried this before. The whole introducing someone to my daughter thing. And it didn't work. She got attached, the relationship fell apart, and I had to watch her lose someone else she cared about. I can't do that to her again. So what do we do? I don't know. Be careful. Take it slow. Make sure we're both really in this before we go any further. Victoria nodded slowly. Okay, but can I ask you something? Yeah. What does taking it slow actually mean? Because I'm not great at ambiguity. I like clear parameters. Very CEO of you. Shut up. I'm serious. If we're doing this, I need to know what we're doing. Are we dating? Are we exclusive? What are we? Caleb thought about it. About all the careful walls he'd built to protect himself and his daughter. About all the reasons he should be cautious, should hedge his bets, should keep an escape route. Then he thought about Victoria kneeling in the grass to promise Lily she wouldn't disappear. About her climbing on jungle gyms and rewriting fairy tales. About the way she'd looked at his daughter with genuine affection instead of obligation. We're together, he said, for real. Not just seeing where it goes or keeping it casual. Actually together. Victoria's face transformed, surprise melting into something that looked like relief and joy and fear all mixed together. Yeah? Yeah, if that's what you want. That's what I want. She stepped closer until they were standing toe to toe on the sidewalk. But I need you to tell me if I'm doing it wrong. The whole dating someone with a kid thing, I don't have a manual for this. There is no manual, we figure it out as we go. That's deeply unsatisfying for someone who likes 5-year plans. Welcome to parenthood. Nothing goes according to plan. Victoria kissed him then, soft and certain, her hands coming up to frame his face. It was their first real kiss, and it tasted like ice cream and possibility, and the kind of risk that might actually be worth taking. When they pulled apart, she rested her forehead against his. I should go, she said. I have about 40 emails waiting for me. It's Sunday. I'm aware. Take the night off. From what? From being CEO Victoria. Just be regular Victoria for one evening. Watch a movie, order takeout, do something that has nothing to do with work. She pulled back to look at him. I don't remember how. Then learn. For me. That's not fair. You can't use yourself as leverage. I absolutely can. That's what boyfriends do. The word boyfriend made her smile, wide and genuine and completely unguarded. Fine, she said. One night off. But I'm blaming you if my company burns down. I'll take full responsibility. She kissed him once more, quick and sweet, then climbed into her car. Caleb watched her drive away, his heart doing complicated things in his chest that felt dangerous and right in equal measure. Upstairs, Lily was barely awake on the couch, her movie forgotten. Is Victoria your girlfriend now? She asked sleepily. Yeah, Caleb said, settling beside her. Is that okay? Mm-hmm. She's nice, and she knows about Legos. Important qualities in a girlfriend. The most important, Lily mumbled, curling into his side. They sat like that while the movie played, and Caleb felt something he hadn't felt in years. The sense that his life was expanding instead of contracting, opening up instead of closing down. It was terrifying and exhilarating, and he had no idea if it would last. But for now, with his daughter warm against his side, and the memory of Victoria's kiss still on his lips, he let himself believe it might. The next few weeks developed a rhythm that felt both natural and surreal. Victoria started coming over on weekday evenings after work, joining them for dinner in Caleb's cramped apartment. She'd arrive in her business clothes, carrying takeout or groceries, and immediately kick off her heels in a way that suggested she'd been waiting all day to do exactly that. Lily would greet her with a hug and an immediate download of everything that had happened at school, and Victoria would listen like it was the most important briefing she'd attend all day. They'd eat together at the small kitchen table, Lily chattering, Caleb cooking, Victoria asking questions, and slowly learning the rhythms of their life. Why do you put ketchup on everything? Victoria asked one night, watching Lily drown her chicken in red sauce. Because it's good, Lily said, as if this were obvious. Even broccoli? Especially broccoli. That's concerning. That's what Dad says, but he's wrong. I'm standing right here, Caleb called from the stove. We know, they said in unison, then dissolved into giggles. The easy way Victoria and Lily had bonded should have been reassuring. Instead, it made Caleb increasingly anxious. Every time he watched them together, building Lego structures, debating the merits of various cartoon characters, teaching each other things they'd learned, he felt the weight of how much they both had to lose if this fell apart. Marcus noticed during their weekly basketball game at the rec center. You're doing that thing again, Marcus said, stealing the ball while Caleb was lost in thought. What thing? That thing where you're so busy waiting for disaster that you can't enjoy what's actually happening. I'm not. You are. You've got a great girl who actually likes your kid, and your kid who actually likes her back. That's the dream scenario, man. Stop trying to find problems. What if it doesn't last? What if it does? But what if Lily gets attached and then Victoria decides this is too hard and leaves? Lily already lost her mom once. I can't put her through that again. Marcus stopped dribbling and looked at him seriously. First of all, Lily didn't lose Sarah. Sarah's still around, still part of her life, just in a different way. Second, you can't protect Lily from every possible hurt. That's not how life works. You can only show her that taking risks on people is sometimes worth it. Easy for you to say. You don't have a kid depending on your choices. No, but I have a best friend who's been half alive for 3 years, and I'd really like to see him actually live for once. The words stung precisely because they were true. Caleb had been existing in maintenance mode for so long, he'd forgotten what it felt like to want something for himself. That night, after Victoria had left and Lily was asleep, Caleb sat at his laptop trying to work but mostly staring at his phone. Victoria had texted him a photo from her car, a terrible selfie with her eyes crossed and her tongue out, captioned, "Proof I'm capable of being unprofessional." He smiled despite his anxiety and typed back, "That's actually kind of terrifying." Victoria, "Good. You should be scared of me." Caleb, "Too late, already am." Victoria, "Scared of me or scared of this?" The question sat there on his screen, demanding honesty. Caleb, "Both." Victoria, "Me too. But I'm doing it anyway." Caleb, "Why?" Victoria, "Because for the first time in 10 years, I actually want something that isn't related to work. Because your daughter asked me to find her purple Lego pieces, and I spent an hour online searching for them. Because I keep thinking about what it would be like to have this be my regular life, instead of just the highlight of my week." Caleb stared at the message, his heart pounding. Caleb, "You found the purple pieces?" Victoria, "Ordered them this afternoon. Should arrive Thursday." "Don't tell her. I want it to be a surprise." Something cracked open in Caleb's chest, a space where fear had been living rent-free for 3 years. Caleb, "Thank you." Victoria, "For what?" Caleb, "For showing up, for trying, for giving a shit about Legos." Victoria, "Those pieces were expensive. You owe me." Caleb, "Name your price." Victoria, "Dinner at your place Friday. Just us. After Lily goes to bed." Caleb, "Deal." Friday arrived with the kind of crisp November weather that made Denver feel like winter was considering its options. Caleb dropped Lily at Sarah's for the weekend, fielding his ex-wife's knowing looks with as much dignity as he could manage. "She's coming over tonight?" Sarah asked, leaning against her doorframe. "How do you know that?" "Because you're nervous and you did something different with your hair." "I didn't." "You did. It looks good. Relax." Sarah smiled. "Lily really likes her, by the way. Won't shut up about Victoria and the Legos and how she's teaching her about girl power or something." "That sounds like Victoria." "She sounds like a keeper. Don't screw it up by overthinking everything." "Why does everyone keep telling me that?" "Because you're you, and overthinking is your factory setting." Sarah gave him a gentle push toward the stairs. "Go. Have fun. Be a person instead of just a dad for one night." Caleb spent the afternoon cleaning his apartment with the kind of intensity usually reserved for preparing for surgery. He changed the sheets on the pull-out couch, his bed, then felt weird about it and changed them back to the less presumptuous ones. He cooked pasta from scratch, something he never did, then panicked that it wasn't impressive enough and made a backup salad. Victoria arrived at 7 with a bottle of wine and an overnight bag that she set down without comment by the door.
"Hi," she said. "Hi," Caleb said, suddenly forgetting every word in the English language. "You cleaned. Is it that obvious? I can smell the Lysol from here. It's actually kind of sweet." She kissed him, slow and thorough, and Caleb felt his entire nervous system light up. Something smells good. Pasta, from scratch. I may have gone overboard. There's no such thing as overboard with carbs. They ate at the small kitchen table, the apartment feeling larger somehow without Lily's constant energy filling every corner. It was strange and intimate to be alone together in this space that was usually so full of life. "This is weird, right?" Victoria said, echoing his thoughts. "Being here without Lily? Yeah, good weird or bad weird?" Still deciding. She twirled pasta on her fork. "It feels like we're playing house, like we're pretending to be a normal couple having a normal dinner, as opposed to, I don't know, what we actually are, which is two people trying to figure out if they can build something real out of," she gestured vaguely. "Out of what?" Caleb asked, though he knew the answer. "Out of complicated lives and bad timing and the fact that neither of us really knows what we're doing." Victoria set down her fork. "I've been thinking about something you said, about how you're afraid of hurting me and Lily if you fail." "I remember. What if you're not the one who fails? What if I'm the one who screws this up?" Caleb blinked. "What do you mean?" "I mean, I've never done this before, any of this. I've never been in a serious relationship past 6 months. I've never dated anyone with a child. I've never had to think about someone else's needs before my own." She was turning her wine glass in slow circles, not meeting his eyes. "I work 80-hour weeks, Caleb. I cancel plans last minute. I forget to eat lunch. I wake up at 3 a.m. thinking about quarterly projections. That's who I am. And I keep waiting for the moment when you realize that's not what you need." Victoria. "And Lily deserves someone who can actually be present. Someone who knows how to be part of a family. I don't know how to do that. I grew up as an only child with parents who worked constantly. I don't have a model for what you're asking me to be. I'm not asking you to be anything except yourself. But myself might not be enough." The vulnerability in her voice cracked something open in Caleb's chest. He reached across the table and took her hand. "You bought purple Lego pieces," he said quietly. "You spent an hour searching for something that would make my daughter happy. You show up here after working all day and listen to a 7-year-old talk about hamsters and substitute teachers. You're already doing it, Victoria. You're already here. For now. But what happens when it gets harder? When the novelty wears off and it's just the daily grind of someone else's kid needing rides to school and help with homework, and then we figure it out. Together. That's what this is." Victoria finally met his eyes, and he could see the fear there, raw and honest. "I'm going to disappoint you," she said. "Both of you, eventually. That's what I do. I get so focused on work that everything else falls away. So we build in protections, boundaries. We communicate when things aren't working instead of letting them fester. You make it sound simple. It's not simple. It's terrifying. But I'd rather be terrified with you than safe and alone." Victoria laughed, but it was shaky. "When did you become the brave one?" "About 5 minutes ago. I'm winging it." She squeezed his hand, then stood and walked to the window overlooking the street. The city lights reflected in the glass, making her look like she existed in 2 places at once. "I have a board meeting on Tuesday," she said. "It's going to determine whether we get our next round of funding. If it goes well, we'll have the capital to expand into 3 new states. If it goes badly, I'll have to lay off half my staff." "That's huge." "Yeah. And I've been so focused on you and Lily that I almost forgot about it. Until yesterday, when my CFO asked if I'd reviewed the presentation deck, and I realized I hadn't even opened it." Caleb felt a cold spike of guilt. "I'm distracting you from your work." "No, you're making me realize there's more to life than work, which is good, but also terrifying because I don't know how to do both. I don't know how to be a good CEO and a good girlfriend and a good whatever I'm supposed to be to Lily. You don't have to be perfect at all 3. Don't I? Because from where I'm standing, if I fail at any one of them, I lose everything." The weight of that admission settled between them.
Caleb stood and crossed to her, wrapping his arms around her from behind. She leaned back into him, her shoulders finally releasing some of their tension. "What if we lowered the stakes?" he said into her hair. "How?" "Stop thinking about forever. Just think about right now. Right now you're here. Right now we're okay. That's enough." "Is it though?" "Because Lily's already attached to me. And I'm already—" She stopped, the words catching in her throat. "Already what?" "I'm already in love with you," she said quietly, "which is insane because it's been 6 weeks. But I am. And that scares me more than any board meeting or business deal ever has." Caleb turned her around to face him, his hands framing her face. "I'm in love with you too," he said, and watched her eyes widen. "I've been trying not to be because you're right. It's too fast and too complicated. But I am anyway." Victoria kissed him then, hard and desperate, like she was trying to prove something to both of them. They stumbled toward the couch. His bed, he remembered with a jolt, and fell onto it in a tangle of limbs and half-articulated feelings. "Wait," Victoria said, pulling back. "Are we doing this? Do you want to?" "Yes, but I also want to make sure you want to. That this isn't just, it's not just anything," Caleb said. "I want this. I want you. I'm absolutely terrified, but I want it anyway." "Okay, good. Me too." They made love slowly, carefully, like they were learning a language neither of them quite spoke yet. Afterward, they lay tangled together on the narrow pull-out couch, the city noise filtering through the windows, both of them staring at the ceiling. "This bed is terrible," Victoria said. "I know. You really sleep here every night? Every night for 3 years. We need to fix that." "It's fine." "It's not fine. You're a grown man sleeping on a couch in your living room. That's not sustainable." "I'm not moving Lily out of her bedroom." "I'm not suggesting you do. I'm suggesting we find you a bigger apartment." Caleb went still. "We?" Victoria seemed to realize what she'd said. She propped herself up on one elbow, looking down at him with an expression caught between hope and panic. "I don't mean move in together," she said quickly. "I just mean I could help with rent or help you find a better place." "I can't let you pay my rent, Victoria." "Why not?" "Because I'm not a charity case." "That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying I have resources you don't. And if we're building a life together, why shouldn't those resources benefit both of us? Because it's not equal. Because you'd be supporting me, and that's not— I can't be that guy." Victoria sat up fully now, wrapping the sheet around herself. "What guy?" "The guy who dates someone successful and lets them bankroll his life. I have pride, Victoria. Not a lot, but some." "This isn't about pride. This is about practicality. You're sleeping on a couch because you gave your daughter the only bedroom. That's noble but stupid. If I can help change that, why is that a problem? Because what happens if we break up? Then I'm in an apartment I can't afford on my own, and I've built my life around your money. So we don't break up." "You can't guarantee that." "Neither can you, but you're still here. We're both still here." Caleb sat up, running his hands through his hair. The conversation had taken a turn he wasn't prepared for, exposing fault lines he didn't know existed. "I need to be able to support myself," he said finally. "And my daughter. That's non-negotiable. I can't build my stability on someone else's foundation." Victoria was quiet for a long moment. Then she said very carefully, "Is this about me, or is this about Sarah?" The question landed like a punch to the solar plexus. "What?" "You said your marriage fell apart partly because of money, because you were working 2 jobs trying to keep things together. Is this about not wanting to repeat that pattern?" Caleb felt something hot and defensive rise in his chest. "This is about maintaining my independence." "Independence from what? From help? From partnership? From someone actually wanting to make your life easier?" "You don't understand." "Then explain it to me. Because from where I'm sitting, I'm trying to be part of your life, and you're building walls to keep me at a distance." "I'm not building walls. I'm setting boundaries. Boundaries that conveniently keep you in control of everything. You don't need help. You don't need support. You'll do it all yourself, even if it means sleeping on a couch for the rest of your life." "That's not fair." "Isn't it? You're so afraid of being vulnerable that you won't even let me help with something basic like housing. What happens when it's something bigger? When Lily needs something you can't provide alone, are you just going to suffer through it because accepting help feels like failure? The apartment felt too small suddenly, the walls pressing in. Caleb stood and paced to the window, his heart pounding with something between anger and shame. You don't get it, he said, his back to her. You've never had to worry about money. You started a company and it worked. You took risks and they paid off. That's not my life. My life is scraping by month to month, hoping a client doesn't drop me, hoping nothing breaks that I can't afford to fix. I don't have a safety net. This apartment, as shitty as it is what I can afford on my own. And that matters. He heard Victoria move, felt her presence behind him. You're right, she said quietly. I don't understand what it's like to have that kind of financial anxiety. I've been incredibly lucky, but I'm trying to understand, and part of understanding is wanting to help the person I love. I know, but I can't let myself depend on you, not financially, not like that. Why? What's the worst that happens? You leave, Caleb said, the words erupting before he could stop them. You leave, and I'm left in a life I built around you, and I can't sustain it alone, and Lily pays the price. Again. The silence that followed was heavy enough to break things. Is that what you think I'm going to do? Victoria's voice was small. Just leave when things get hard? Caleb turned to face her. She'd pulled on his shirt, her hair messy, her expression devastated. I don't know, he said honestly. I want to believe you won't. But I've been here before, Victoria. I've watched a relationship fall apart and had to rebuild from scratch. I can't go through that again. And more importantly, I can't put Lily through it. So what are you saying, that we should end this now before it gets worse? No. I'm saying I need to be able to stand on my own 2 feet, even if I'm standing next to you. Victoria wrapped her arms around herself, suddenly looking very young and very lost. I don't know how to do that, she said. I don't know how to be in a relationship where I can't use the resources I have to help the person I care about. That feels like you're asking me to watch you struggle when I could make it easier. I know it doesn't make sense to you. It doesn't, but I'm trying to respect it anyway. She picked up her clothes from the floor, started getting dressed with sharp, precise movements. I should go. Victoria, it's fine. I have that presentation to work on anyway. And clearly, we both need some space to think. Please don't leave like this. Like what? We had our first fight. That's normal. I'm not running away, Caleb. I'm going home to work and giving us both some time to cool off. But it felt like running. It felt exactly like the thing he'd been afraid of. The moment when the reality of his life became too much and she found an escape route. She grabbed her overnight bag and Caleb felt panic rising in his throat. I love you, he said desperately. Victoria stopped at the door, her hand on the knob. When she turned back, her eyes were red. I love you too, she said. But I don't know if that's enough. If loving you means watching you refuse help out of pride, if it means always being kept at arm's length because you're afraid I'll leave, I don't know if I can do that. I don't know how to love someone who won't let themselves be loved back. That's not what I'm doing, isn't it? She left before he could answer, the door closing with a soft click that somehow felt louder than a slam. Caleb stood in his empty apartment, the pull-out couch still unmade, Victoria's wine glass still on the table, and felt the careful architecture of his new life crumbling around him. He called Marcus at 11 p.m., knowing his friend would answer despite the hour. What happened? Marcus said instead of hello. We had a fight. About? Money. Independence. My inability to accept help without feeling like I'm failing. Ah, the Caleb Ward special. I'm serious, Marcus. She wanted to help me get a better apartment and I completely shut her down. Why? Because I can't build my life around her money. What happens if we break up? What happens if you don't? What happens if you spend the rest of your life sleeping on a couch because you're too proud to let someone who loves you make your life better? It's not about pride. It's absolutely about pride and fear. You're so terrified of depending on anyone that you'd rather suffer alone than risk being vulnerable, says the guy who's been single for 5 years. Exactly. I'm a cautionary tale, not a role model. Don't be like me, man. Don't sabotage something good because you're scared. What if she leaves? What if she doesn't? What if you actually get to be happy? Would that be so terrible? Caleb sat on his couch bed, the phone pressed to his ear, and felt something break open in his chest. I don't know how to do this, he said quietly. Do what? Trust that good things can last. Trust that someone might actually stick around. So learn. That's what relationships are. Learning to trust someone with the fragile parts of yourself. And yeah, sometimes they break them, but sometimes they don't. Sometimes they hold them carefully and help you put them back together. When did you become a therapist? I've been listening to you spiral for 3 years. I've learned some things. Marcus paused. Call her. Apologize. Tell her you're scared and you're working on it, but you need her to be patient while you figure your shit out. What if she says no? Then at least you tried. But Caleb, she brought an overnight bag. She was ready to stay. She was all in. Don't lose her because you can't get out of your own way. After they hung up, Caleb sat in the dark for a long time. Then he picked up his phone and typed out a message. Caleb, I'm sorry. You're right. I'm keeping you at a distance because I'm terrified. Not of you, of how much I need you, of what happens if I let myself depend on you and you realize I'm not worth the effort. He sent it before he could overthink it, then waited in the dark, watching the 3 dots appear and disappear on his screen. Finally, a response came. Victoria, you're worth the effort. I wish you believed that. Caleb, I'm trying to. It's just hard. Victoria, I know, but you have to let me in, Caleb. Not just the easy parts, the hard parts too. The parts where you need help and don't want to ask for it. Caleb, what if I don't know how? Victoria, then we figure it out together. That's what partnership means. Not you carrying everything alone and me watching from the sidelines. Actual partnership. Shared burdens, shared resources, shared life. Caleb, that scares me. Victoria, it scares me too, but I'm doing it anyway. Question is, are you? Caleb stared at the message for a long time. Then he typed, yes, I'm doing it anyway. Victoria, okay, then we start there. Tomorrow. We talk about this for real. No defensiveness, no walls, just honesty. Caleb, okay? Victoria, and Caleb? I'm not Sarah. I'm not going to leave because things get hard. I'm going to leave if you never let me in. There's a difference. Caleb, I understand. Victoria, good. Now go to sleep. We'll figure this out in the morning. He did sleep eventually, though it took hours. And when he woke up to sunlight streaming through the windows, there was another message waiting. Victoria, coffee at Stella's? 10 a.m. We can talk. Caleb, I'll be there. He arrived early again, unable to break the habit, and claimed the same table they'd sat at on their first date. It felt significant somehow, coming back to the beginning to figure out how to move forward. Victoria arrived exactly on time, looking tired but determined. She ordered her espresso and sat across from him, her hands wrapped around the cup like she needed the warmth. Okay, she said. Ground rules. We both get to say everything we're thinking without interruption. Then we figure out if there's a path forward that works for both of us. Deal? Deal. You first. Caleb took a breath, trying to organize 3 years of fear into something coherent. I'm terrified of losing my independence, he said. Not because I don't trust you, but because I've built my entire identity around being able to provide for Lily on my own. When my marriage fell apart, I was working 2 jobs and it still wasn't enough. I felt like a failure, like I couldn't take care of my own family, and I swore I'd never feel that way again. Victoria nodded but stayed quiet, letting him continue. And then you come along, and you're successful and capable, and you have resources I don't have. And part of me wants to accept your help so badly because I'm tired of struggling. But the other part is screaming that if I depend on you, I'm admitting I can't do it alone. And if I can't do it alone, what kind of father am I? A human one, Victoria said quietly. Maybe, but that doesn't feel like enough. Okay, my turn? Yeah. Victoria set down her espresso and met his eyes. I grew up watching my parents work constantly, she said. They built their business from nothing, and it consumed everything. Their marriage, their relationship with me, their health, everything. And I swore I wouldn't be like them. I swore I'd build something sustainable. But here I am at 30, running a company that demands everything from me, and I don't know how to turn it off. She twisted her hands together on the table. And then I met you. And for the first time in my life, I wanted something outside of work. I wanted a family that wasn't defined by quarterly earnings. I wanted to be part of something real. But I only know one way to show love, Caleb. I solve problems. I provide resources. I make things better through action. If I can't do that, I don't know what I'm contributing. You contribute yourself, Caleb said. That's enough. Is it? Because it doesn't feel like enough. It feels like I'm asking you to let me into your life without actually being useful. And I don't know how to just be. I only know how to do. They sat in silence, both of them wrestling with patterns that ran deeper than one relationship could easily fix. So where does that leave us? Caleb asked finally. Victoria thought about it, her fingers drumming against her cup. I think it leaves us trying, she said. I think it leaves us acknowledging that we're both broken in different ways and we're trying to build something healthy out of broken pieces, which is hard, but not impossible. What does trying look like? It looks like you accepting that I want to help sometimes, and that doesn't make you weak. And it looks like me accepting that you need to maintain your independence, and that doesn't mean you don't love me. That sounds like a very delicate balance. Everything worth having usually is. Caleb reached across the table and took her hand. I don't want to lose you, he said, and I don't want to lose myself either. I need to figure out how to do both. Then we figure it out together. With boundaries and communication and probably more fights, because that's how this works. I can do that. Can you? Can you really let me help when you need it? Caleb thought about his apartment, about the pull-out couch, about all the ways he'd been making do because making do felt safer than depending on anyone. I can try, he said. I can't promise I'll be good at it, but I can try. That's all I'm asking. They finished their coffee and walked out into the November morning. The mountains were visible in the distance, snow-capped and permanent, and Caleb felt something settle in his chest. Can I ask you something? He said. Always. That board meeting on Tuesday. Are you nervous? Terrified. Want to practice your pitch on me? I don't know anything about hospital software, but I can tell you if it sounds convincing. Victoria stopped walking and looked at him with an expression that was part surprise, part gratitude. You do that? Of course. That's what partners do, right? We help each other. Even when it's boring business stuff? Especially when it's boring business stuff. She kissed him right there on the sidewalk, soft and certain. Thank you, she said against his lips. For what? For trying. For letting me try, for not giving up when it got hard. Same to you. They spent the afternoon at Victoria's condo, Caleb's first time seeing where she actually lived. It was sleek and modern, all clean lines and expensive furniture, with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. It looked like something from a magazine, beautiful but impersonal. It's very you, Caleb said, taking it in. Is that a compliment? It's an observation. It's successful and put together and completely devoid of personality. Wow, brutal. I mean it in the nicest way possible. Victoria looked around her own space like she was seeing it for the first time. You're right, she said. I've lived here for 5 years and it still looks like a showroom. I keep meaning to make it feel like home, but I'm never here long enough to bother. What would home look like? I don't know. Pictures on the walls? Books on the shelves instead of just the coffee table ones that look impressive? Maybe some actual colors instead of just gray and white? We could fix that. Yeah? Yeah. Lily and I are experts at making places feel lived in. We could teach you. Victoria smiled, and something in it looked like hope. They ordered Thai food and spread Victoria's presentation across her dining room table. Caleb listened as she walked through her pitch, asking questions when things didn't make sense, pointing out places where she lost momentum. It was strange and intimate, this glimpse into the part of her life that usually existed completely separate from him. You're good at this, Victoria said after running through it twice. At what? Listening. Actually hearing what I'm trying to say instead of just waiting for your turn to talk. Years of practice with a 7-year-old. They're excellent bullshit detectors. I'm starting to understand why you're such a good dad. The compliment landed somewhere deep in Caleb's chest, in the place where he stored every small piece of evidence that maybe he was doing okay after all. That night, when Sarah dropped Lily off at his apartment, his daughter immediately noticed something different. You look happy, she said suspiciously. Why do you look happy? Can't I just be happy? You can, but usually you look worried happy. Today, you look actual happy. Victoria and I worked some stuff out. Good.
Because I like her and I want her to stay. Me too, kid. Me too. Monday came and went. Victoria texted him updates from work, small observations, moments of stress, things that made her laugh. Caleb found himself doing the same, sharing pieces of his day that he'd normally keep to himself. It felt like building something, brick by brick, conversation by conversation.
Tuesday morning, he woke up to a message sent at 5 a.m. Victoria, can't sleep, board meeting in 4 hours, moderately freaking out. Caleb, you're going to kill it. They'd be idiots not to fund you. Victoria, what if they are idiots? Caleb, then you'll figure out plan B. That's what you do. Victoria, I really love you. Have I mentioned that recently? Caleb, not since yesterday. Slacker. Victoria, I'll make it up to you tonight, assuming I'm not drowning my sorrows in terrible wine. Caleb, either way, I'll be here. The day crept by with excruciating slowness. Caleb tried to work, managed maybe 2 hours of actual productivity, spent the rest checking his phone like it might spontaneously generate news. Lily noticed his distraction at dinner. Is Victoria okay? She asked around a mouthful of chicken. She has a big meeting today. I'm waiting to hear how it went. Like a test? Sort of. For her company. I hope she passes. Me too. The message finally came at 7:30 p.m. Victoria, we got it. Full funding, 3-year runway. I may have cried in front of my entire board. Caleb, that's amazing. Congratulations. Victoria, can I come over? I know it's late, but I really want to see you. Caleb, Lily's still up, but yes, come over. She arrived 20 minutes later with champagne and Chinese food and an expression that was half exhausted, half elated. Lily hugged her immediately, congratulating her on passing her test, and Victoria laughed so hard she had to sit down. They ate lo mein on the floor of Caleb's living room, Lily between them, and Victoria told them about the presentation, about the questions she'd fielded, the investors who'd challenged her numbers, the moment when she'd known she had them. And then the lead investor said yes, Victoria said, and I realized I'd been holding my breath for 3 hours straight. That's so cool, Lily said, her eyes wide. You're like a superhero. I don't know about that. You are. You save hospitals, and you don't even wear a cape. Victoria met Caleb's eyes over Lily's head, and he saw everything there, the fear, the hope, the tentative belief that maybe they were actually going to make this work. Later, after Lily was asleep and they were washing dishes side by side, Victoria said quietly, "Thank you for today, for the texts, for letting me come over even though it's a school night, for just being here." Always, Caleb said, and meant it with every part of himself. She stayed until midnight, curled up beside him on the pull-out couch, talking about everything and nothing. And when she finally left, promising to text when she got home, Caleb lay in the dark, feeling something he'd almost forgotten. Not just hope, certainty. This was real. This was lasting. This was the life he'd been too afraid to imagine. And for the first time in 3 years, he let himself believe it might actually stay. The certainty lasted exactly 3 weeks. It was a Thursday afternoon in early December when everything Caleb had been afraid of finally materialized, not in the dramatic way he'd imagined, but in something quieter and somehow worse. He was picking Lily up from school when his phone rang. Victoria's name appeared on the screen, but when he answered, her voice sounded wrong, tight, controlled, the voice she used in business meetings when things were going sideways. "Hey," she said, "are you busy?" "Just got Lily. What's up?" "Can you drop her at Marcus's for an hour? I need to talk to you." Caleb's stomach dropped. "Is everything okay?" Can you come over, please?" The please did it. Victoria didn't say please unless something was really wrong. He called Marcus, who agreed to take Lily without asking questions. Then he drove to Victoria's condo with his heart hammering against his ribs, cycling through every possible disaster. She was sick. The company was failing. She'd met someone else. She'd realized this was too hard and she was done. She opened the door before he could knock, and the sight of her knocked the breath from his lungs. She'd been crying. Her eyes were red, her face blotchy. Victoria, who never cried, who'd cried exactly once in front of him when she got her funding, looked devastated. "What happened?" he said, stepping inside. She closed the door and leaned against it, her arms wrapped around herself. "My mom called this morning," she said.
My dad had a heart attack. He's in the hospital in Phoenix. Relief and guilt hit Caleb simultaneously. Relief that this wasn't about them. Guilt for feeling relieved when her father was sick. Is he okay? He asked, reaching for her. They don't know yet. He's stable, but they're running tests. My mom is... She's trying to hold it together, but I can hear it in her voice. She's terrified. Victoria's voice cracked. I booked a flight for tomorrow morning.
I'll be gone at least a week, maybe 2. Okay, that's okay. You need to be with your family. But I have the expansion launch in 10 days. The hospital contracts we just signed. A company retreat that's been planned for months. I can't just disappear for 2 weeks. Victoria, your dad had a heart attack. The company can wait. Can it? I have 43 people depending on me. Investors who just gave us millions of dollars expecting results. Clients who are trusting us with their patient data. She was spiraling, her hands shaking. And I have you and Lily, and I just promised I wouldn't disappear, and now I'm leaving for 2 weeks? Hey, Caleb grabbed her shoulders gently. Stop, breathe. This isn't disappearing. This is dealing with a family emergency. That's completely different. Is it? Because from where I'm standing, I'm about to abandon everything I just committed to. You're not abandoning anything. You're being a daughter. Your parents need you. Victoria's face crumpled. I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to be in Phoenix taking care of my dad while my company falls apart and you and Lily are here, and we'll be fine. We'll be here when you get back. But what if I can't come back? What if my dad needs long-term care? What if I have to choose between my family and my company and you? Then we figure it out together. That's what we do now, remember? She looked at him with something that might have been hope or might have been despair. I'm scared, she whispered. I know, me too. But you're not doing this alone. That night, Caleb helped her pack. They barely spoke, just moved around her bedroom in synchronized silence, him folding clothes while she made lists of things her CTO needed to handle, both of them trying not to think about how 2 weeks suddenly felt like forever. I don't want to go, Victoria said, sitting on the edge of her bed watching him pack her suitcase with more care than she'd ever given it. I know, but you have to. Will you explain to Lily? Tell her I'm not just leaving? She'll understand. She's good at understanding when things are important. What if she thinks I broke my promise? I won't let her think that. Victoria stood and wrapped her arms around him from behind, pressing her face into his shoulder. I love you, she said into his shirt. I love you too. Go take care of your dad. Everything else will still be here. But standing in her apartment at midnight, surrounded by packed bags and unfinished business, neither of them felt entirely sure that was true. Caleb drove her to the airport the next morning. They barely talked on the way, Victoria checking her phone obsessively, responding to work emails, building walls between herself and the fear. At departures, she kissed him hard and desperate, like she was trying to memorize the feeling. 2 weeks, she said. 2 weeks, he echoed. Then she was gone, disappearing through security with her carry-on and her laptop bag, and all the weight she insisted on carrying alone. Caleb drove home in the gray December morning and felt the architecture of their relationship shift into something more fragile. Explaining to Lily was harder than he'd expected. Why did Victoria have to go? She asked over breakfast, pushing her cereal around her bowl. Her dad is sick. She needs to take care of him. But she's coming back, right? Of course she is. When? Couple weeks. Lily was quiet for a moment, processing this with the seriousness she applied to all important matters. Is her dad going to die? The question stopped Caleb cold. I don't know, sweetie. I hope not. If he dies, will Victoria be okay? Eventually. But it would be really hard. Should we do something to help her? Caleb looked at his 7-year-old daughter and felt his chest constrict with love. Like what? I don't know. Send her pictures so she knows we're thinking about her? That's a really good idea. They spent the afternoon taking pictures, Lily making silly faces, both of them holding signs that said, "We miss you," and "Come home soon," Lily's newest Lego creation, the tower with the purple pieces Victoria had bought. Caleb sent them in a steady stream, and Victoria responded with heart emojis and short messages that he knew she was sending between hospital visits. The days developed a strange rhythm. Caleb worked while Lily was at school, picked her up, made dinner, tried to maintain normalcy while feeling Victoria's absence like a physical weight. They FaceTimed every night, Victoria looking exhausted in her childhood bedroom, talking about her dad's progress and her mom's anxiety and how strange it was to be back in Phoenix. "How are you holding up?" Caleb asked on day 4 after Lily had said goodnight. "I'm managing. Dad's stable. They're talking about bypass surgery next week." "And you?" "I'm fine." "Victoria." She sighed, and he could see her defenses crumbling across the digital connection. "I'm not fine. I'm terrified and exhausted, and I haven't slept more than 3 hours a night since I got here. The company is holding together, but barely. My CTO is great, but he's not me, and I can feel things slipping, and I miss you so much it physically hurts." "I miss you too." "How's Lily?" "She's okay. Worried about you. She wants to know when you're coming home." "So do I." "What do the doctors say?" "If the surgery goes well, Dad will need 6 weeks of recovery. My mom can't handle that alone. She's already falling apart and he's only been here 5 days." Caleb felt ice forming in his stomach. 6 weeks? I know I said 2, but I can't leave them, Caleb. They need me." "I understand." "Do you?" "Because I can hear it in your voice. You're afraid I'm not coming back." "I'm not." "You are. You're already building walls. I can feel it from 2 states away." He wanted to deny it, but she was right. The old patterns were creeping back in, the instinct to protect himself and Lily from disappointment. "It's 6 weeks, Victoria. That's a long time." "I know. But what do you want me to do? Abandon my parents?" "I'm not asking you to. I'm just saying this is exactly what I was afraid of. That something would happen and I'd be left trying to explain to Lily why someone else disappeared from her life." "I'm not disappearing. I'm dealing with a crisis. For 6 weeks, during which you'll be there and we'll be here, and eventually the distance will make it easier to just stay away." "That's not fair." "Isn't it? You have a whole life in Phoenix. Your parents, your childhood friends, probably job opportunities." "Stop. Just stop." Victoria's voice was sharp now, angry. "I'm not looking for an exit, Caleb. I'm trying to take care of my family. The fact that you immediately assume I'm going to abandon you says more about your trust issues than it does about me." "Maybe, but I have a daughter to protect." "And I'm the threat now? I'm the person you need to protect her from?" The conversation was spiraling into territory they couldn't come back from. Caleb could feel it, the way all their careful progress was unraveling. "I didn't mean it like that," he said. "Then how did you mean it?" "I meant that I can't keep putting Lily through this. She's already attached to you. If you decide Phoenix is where you need to be, she's the one who gets hurt." "If I decide?" "When have I ever suggested I'm not coming back? I've been gone less than a week and you're already writing the ending where I'm the villain." "I'm trying to be realistic." "You're trying to sabotage this before it has a chance to fail. That's what you do, Caleb. You're so afraid of being hurt that you hurt yourself first." The screen showed her face, flushed with anger and tears, and Caleb felt everything crumbling. "Maybe we need some space," he said, the words coming out before he could stop them. Victoria went very still. "What does that mean?" "It means maybe this was a mistake. Maybe we moved too fast and now we're in too deep and we can't see clearly anymore." "Are you breaking up with me?" "I'm saying maybe we should take a step back. Reevaluate when things aren't so complicated." "Things are always going to be complicated, Caleb. That's what life is. Complicated and messy and things going wrong at the worst possible time. If you can't handle that, then maybe you're right. Maybe this was a mistake." She hung up before he could respond. Caleb sat in the dark of his living room, his phone still in his hand, and felt the full weight of what he'd just done. He'd taken the thing he was most afraid of, Victoria leaving, and he'd made it happen himself. Self-fulfilling prophecy, Marcus had called it. The Caleb Ward Special. His phone buzzed. A text from Victoria. "For the record, I was coming back. I had a return flight booked for 3 days after Dad's surgery. I was going to ask my CTO to stay in Phoenix with my parents while I handled the expansion launch, then rotate back and forth. I had a plan. But you didn't even ask. You just assumed I was leaving for good. So maybe you're right. Maybe we do need space. Because I can't be with someone who doesn't trust me enough to even ask what I'm thinking." He tried calling her. She didn't answer. He tried again.
Nothing. For 3 days, silence. Lily noticed immediately. "Did you and Victoria have a fight?" she asked on Saturday morning. "How did you— You keep checking your phone and looking sad, and she hasn't FaceTimed in 3 days. I'm not stupid, Dad." "We had a disagreement." "About what?" "About— It's complicated, honey." "Did you break up?" The question hung in the air between them. Caleb didn't know how to answer it. "I don't know," he said finally. Lily's face did something that broke his heart, a careful rearranging of her features into something neutral and protected. "It's okay," she said. "I'm used to people leaving." "Lily, it's fine. I didn't need her anyway. We were good before. We'll be good again." She went to her room and closed the door quietly, and Caleb sat at the kitchen table feeling like the worst father in the world. He'd been so busy protecting her from potential hurt that he'd guaranteed it instead. Marcus came over that night after Lily was asleep and took one look at Caleb's face. "What did you do?" he asked. "I told her we needed space." "Why the hell would you do that?" "Because she's in Phoenix indefinitely, and I panicked." "So instead of talking about it like adults, you blew up your relationship." "She hung up on me." "Good for her. I would have too." Marcus sat down heavily on the couch. "Man, I love you, but you are the most self-sabotaging human I've ever met. You had a good thing, a great thing, and you destroyed it because you were scared." "Her dad had a heart attack. She was going to be gone for 6 weeks. So what? You think relationships don't survive distance? You think every obstacle means it's over?" "I think I have a daughter who gets attached to people and then loses them. I think I can't keep doing that to her." "You know what's worse than Lily losing Victoria eventually? Lily losing Victoria because you're a coward. At least if Victoria left for real reasons, Lily would understand." This is just you proving that you don't think either of you deserve to be happy." The words hit like a physical blow. "That's not— It is. You don't think you deserve someone like Victoria, someone successful and smart and beautiful who actually wants to be part of your messy life. So you found a reason to push her away before she could figure out you're not worth the effort, except she already knew you were worth it, and she chose you anyway, and you threw it away." But Caleb put his head in his hands. "I don't know how to fix this." "Start by apologizing, then by actually trusting her, by believing that when she says she's coming back, she means it, by not being your own worst enemy for once in your life." After Marcus left, Caleb typed out a dozen messages and deleted them all. Everything felt inadequate, insufficient to bridge the gap he'd created. Finally, at 2 in the morning, he settled on the truth. "Caleb, I'm sorry. You're right about everything. I sabotaged us because I was scared, because trusting good things feels more dangerous than just expecting them to fail. I don't know how to be different, but I want to try. If you'll let me." He sent it and didn't expect a response, but 20 minutes later, his phone lit up. "Victoria. I'm tired, Caleb. I'm tired of working so hard to be let in. I'm tired of proving I'm not going to abandon you. I'm tired of being punished for other people's failures." Caleb. "I know. I'm sorry." Victoria. "Sorry isn't enough. I need you to actually change, to actually trust me. Can you do that?" Caleb. "I don't know, but I want to." Victoria. "That's not good enough. I need certainty. I need to know that you're in this even when it's hard, even when I'm 2 states away dealing with family emergencies, even when things don't go according to plan." Caleb. "What do you need from me?" Victoria. "I need you to stop building exit strategies. I need you to stop treating our relationship like it's already over. I need you to believe that I love you enough to stay even when it's complicated." Caleb. "I do believe that. Or I want to. I'm working on it." Victoria. "Work faster, because I can't keep doing this. I can't keep fighting for us alone." Caleb. "You're not alone. I'm here. I'm fighting too. I just fight dirty, apparently." Victoria. "Yeah, you do." Caleb. "How's your dad?" Victoria. "Better. Surgery is scheduled for Monday. After that, 6 weeks of recovery. I've been looking into home health aides and rehab facilities because my mom can't handle it alone." Caleb. "What can I do to help?" Victoria. "You can't do anything from Denver." Caleb.
So I'll come to Phoenix. There was a long pause before she responded. Victoria. What? Caleb. Lily has winter break in 2 weeks. We'll fly out, spend it with you and your family. Help however we can. Victoria. Caleb, you can't. Caleb. Why not? You came into my life. You met my daughter. You showed up. Let me show up for you. Victoria. What about your work, your clients? Caleb. I'll manage. I work remotely anyway. I can do it from Arizona as easily as Denver. Victoria. You don't have to do this. Caleb. I know. I want to. Let me prove that I'm not just scared. Let me prove I'm actually in this. Another long pause. Victoria. Okay. But Caleb, if you come here and then decide it's too much and leave, that's it. I'm done. I can't survive you changing your mind again. Caleb. I won't change my mind. I promise. Victoria. I'm going to hold you to that. Caleb. Please do. 2 weeks later, Caleb and Lily landed in Phoenix with 2 suitcases and a bag full of Lily's carefully selected gifts for Victoria's family. The Arizona heat felt surreal after Denver's December cold, and Lily kept commenting on how weird it was to see palm trees. Victoria met them at the airport, and the sight of her nearly brought Caleb to his knees. She looked exhausted, dark circles under her eyes, her hair pulled back messily, wearing jeans and a t-shirt instead of her usual put-together clothes. But when she saw them, her face transformed. She hugged Lily first, long and tight, then pulled Caleb into an embrace that felt like coming home. You came, she whispered. I said I would. I know. But I didn't entirely believe it. I'm trying to be more believable. She laughed, and it sounded like relief. Victoria's parents lived in a modest ranch house in Scottsdale, the kind of place that had been updated piecemeal over decades and showed the evidence of a long, comfortable life. Her mother, Elena, answered the door with cautious warmth and immediately ushered them inside. Victoria talks about you constantly, she said to Caleb, then turned to Lily. And you must be the famous Lily. I've heard about your Lego tower. I brought you pictures, Lily said shyly, pulling out her phone with the solemnity of presenting credentials. Victoria's father, Robert, was home from the hospital but confined to the living room recliner. He was thinner than Caleb expected, with Victoria's eyes and a handshake that was trying to be firm despite obvious weakness. So you're the interface designer, Robert said. Yes, sir. Victoria says you make buttons pretty. That's a simplification, but essentially, yes. Important work. People don't appreciate good design until they encounter bad design. Caleb liked him immediately. The days in Phoenix developed their own rhythm. Caleb worked in the morning while Lily helped Elena in the garden. Victoria split her time between managing her company remotely and sitting with her father, the two of them watching old movies and having the kind of conversations that come when you've been reminded life is fragile. In the evenings, they'd all gather for dinner, Caleb cooking with Elena, Lily entertaining Robert with stories from school, Victoria oscillating between her two worlds with visible effort. On the third night, after Lily was asleep in the guest room and Victoria's parents had gone to bed, Caleb and Victoria sat on the back patio under the desert stars. Thank you for coming, Victoria said quietly. I know it wasn't easy. It was easy. Making the decision was hard. Actually doing it was the easiest thing I've done in months. You're good with my parents. They're good people. Your dad keeps trying to teach me about vintage cars. He likes you. He told me you're not an idiot, which is high praise. I'll take it. Victoria was quiet for a moment, picking at the label on her beer bottle. I was so angry at you, she said. When you suggested we take space, I wanted to never speak to you again. I know, I'm sorry. But I also understood it, which made me even angrier, because I could see what you were doing and why you were doing it, and I couldn't figure out how to convince you to stop. I'm working on it. Are you? Or are you just here because you felt guilty? The question was fair, and Caleb took his time answering. At first, maybe guilt was part of it, he said. But being here, watching you with your family, seeing how you show up even when it's hard, this is me trying to learn how to do the same thing, how to not run when things get complicated. And how's it going? Hard. Every instinct I have is screaming that this is temporary and I should protect myself and Lily, but I'm ignoring those instincts. That's progress, right? It's something. Victoria turned to look at him. Can I tell you something I've been thinking about? Always. I want you to move in with me. Caleb's beer bottle stopped halfway to his mouth. What? When we get back to Denver, I want you and Lily to move into my place. It's big enough for all of us. You'd each have your own bedroom. There's space for your work and Lily's toys and Victoria. Before you say no, just listen. I'm not trying to rescue you or prove anything. I'm trying to build a life with you, and part of that means actually living together instead of always being in transit between two separate places. That's a huge step. I know, but we've been doing this for 4 months, and I'm tired of leaving you at midnight. I'm tired of feeling like we're playing house instead of actually building one. I want to wake up next to you. I want Lily to feel like my place is her place too. I want us to actually be a family instead of just adjacent lives. Caleb's heart was pounding. What about my independence? What about not depending on you? You wouldn't be depending on me. You'd be sharing space with me. You'd still work, still support Lily, still pay your share of utilities and groceries and everything else. The only difference is you wouldn't be sleeping on a couch anymore, and Lily would have a home that doesn't feel like we're one disaster away from losing it. One disaster away. Is that what you think? Isn't it true? You said yourself the apartment is all you can afford. What happens if you lose a major client? What happens if something breaks that you can't fix? You're living on the edge, Caleb, and you don't have to. He wanted to argue, but she was right. He'd been living in survival mode for so long he'd forgotten there were other options. I need to think about it, he said. Okay, think about it. But Caleb? She took his hand. I'm not asking to save you. I'm asking because I love you and I want to build something real. And real means sharing space and resources and the daily mundane stuff of actually living together. It means trusting that we're in this for the long haul. That night, lying in the guest room with Lily asleep beside him, Caleb thought about what Victoria was offering. Not just a bigger apartment or financial stability, but actual partnership. The kind where two people combine their lives instead of keeping them carefully separate. The kind that required trust. The next morning, he found Victoria in the kitchen making coffee. I want to say yes, he said without preamble. She turned, hope blooming on her face. Yeah, but I need conditions. I pay 1/3 of everything, rent, utilities, groceries, equal partner, not dependent. And if we break up, I get 3 months to find a new place. So Lily and I aren't immediately homeless. We're not going to break up. Probably not, but I need the safety net. I need to know I can stand on my own if I have to. Victoria studied him for a long moment, then nodded. Okay, those terms work. Anything else? Yeah, I need you to be patient with me. I'm going to be weird about this. I'm going to overthink everything and probably drive you crazy questioning whether I'm pulling my weight. I can handle weird. And I need to explain it to Lily in a way that makes sense. She needs to understand this isn't temporary. Of course. Caleb stepped closer, taking her hands. I'm terrified. Me too. But I want this. I want to wake up next to you. I want Lily to have stability. I want to stop living like I'm waiting for everything to fall apart. Then let's do it. Let's build something that doesn't fall apart. They told Lily that afternoon, the three of them sitting in the backyard while Robert napped inside. So we're moving in with Victoria? Lily asked, processing this information with her usual seriousness. Yes, Caleb said. Is that okay with you? Will I have my own room? You will, Victoria said. There's a bedroom with big windows that I think would be perfect for you. We could paint it any color you want. Purple? Absolutely purple. And I can bring all my Legos? All of them. There's even space for a special Lego table if you want. Lily thought about this, her small face contemplative. What if you and Dad break up, she asked, and the question was so matter-of-fact it hurt. Victoria knelt down to her eye level, the way she always did when talking to Lily about important things. Then your dad and I will handle it like adults, she said, and we'll make sure you're taken care of. But Lily, I'm not planning to break up with your dad. I'm planning to be with him for a very long time. How long? As long as he'll have me. Lily looked at Caleb. Is that okay with you? Very okay, Caleb said. Okay then, we can move. She stood up, apparently satisfied. Can I tell Emma? She was going to be so jealous about the purple room. After she ran inside to call her friend, Victoria and Caleb sat in the desert sunshine, hands linked, both of them a little stunned by what they'd just committed to. "We're really doing this," Victoria said. "We're really doing this." "I'm scared." "Me too, but I'm doing it anyway." She kissed him, soft and certain, and Caleb felt something fundamental shift in his chest. This was trust. This was partnership. This was choosing each other even when it was terrifying. They flew back to Denver 3 days before Christmas. Robert was recovering well, and Elena had agreed to accept help from a home health aide, which freed Victoria from the constant anxiety of managing everything alone. On the flight home, Lily fell asleep against Victoria's shoulder, and Caleb watched them with something that felt dangerously like complete happiness. Moving happened in stages over the next month. They started by bringing clothes and essentials, then gradually transported Lily's furniture and Caleb's work setup. Victoria's sleek condo slowly transformed. Lego structures appeared on shelves, Lily's drawings went up on the previously bare refrigerator, Caleb's books filled the empty bookcases. The space that had felt like a showroom became a home. The first night they all slept there together, Lily in her new purple bedroom and Caleb in Victoria's bed instead of a pull-out couch, felt like crossing some invisible threshold into a different kind of life. "This is weird, right?" Victoria whispered in the dark. "So weird," Caleb agreed. "Good weird?" "The best weird." January brought new routines. Caleb worked from the second bedroom Victoria had converted into an office. Lily adjusted to her new school, made new friends, seemed to bloom with the stability of a home that felt permanent. Victoria still worked long hours, but she came home to actual people instead of an empty apartment. They ate dinner together most nights, argued about whose turn it was to do dishes, learned how to navigate shared space with someone else's habits and quirks. It wasn't perfect. Victoria still got lost in work and forgot to eat lunch. Caleb still had moments of panic about depending on someone else. Lily still occasionally asked if this was forever or just for now. But they were building something, brick by brick, conversation by conversation, small decision by small decision. In February, during the first snowfall of the year, Victoria came home early from work, a rare occurrence that made both Caleb and Lily immediately suspicious. "What's wrong?" Caleb asked. "Nothing's wrong. I just decided to take the afternoon off." You don't take afternoons off." "I'm trying this new thing where I have a life outside work. Jury's still out on whether it's viable." She'd brought cookies from the bakery Lily loved and suggested they build a snowman in the park. They bundled up and trudged through the snow, Lily chattering excitedly while Caleb and Victoria exchanged bemused glances. The snowman was lopsided and imperfect, constructed with more enthusiasm than skill. Lily insisted on using her scarf for it, and Victoria contributed her gloves. By the time they finished, they were all freezing and laughing, looking at their creation with disproportionate pride. "He needs a name," Lily announced. "What should we call him?" Victoria asked. "Caleb Jr.," Lily said with a completely straight face. "Absolutely not," Caleb protested. "Caleb Jr. it is," Victoria agreed, high-fiving Lily. They took pictures in front of their misshapen snowman, the three of them pressed together against the cold. And later that night, Victoria posted one to her private Instagram with the caption, "Family Snow Day." Didn't check email once. Small victories. The comments from her friends were predictably shocked. Victoria never posted personal photos, never talked about her private life. But there it was, evidence that she was building something outside the carefully controlled narrative of professional success. March brought Lily's birthday. She turned 8 with a party at the apartment, her friends running through Victoria's previously pristine space with the kind of chaos only children can generate. Victoria handled it with surprising grace, even when someone spilled juice on her expensive rug, and Caleb started apologizing profusely. "It's fine," she said, wiping it up without flinching. "It's just a rug. Lily's happy. That's what matters." That night, after the last guest had left and Lily was asleep surrounded by new toys, Victoria and Caleb collapsed on the couch in exhausted silence. "Thank you," Caleb said. "For what?" "For this. For making space in your life for birthday parties and juice stains and chaos. Thank you for showing me what a real life looks like." "Is this what you imagined when you downloaded that dating app?" Victoria thought about it. "No, I imagined maybe finding someone to have dinner with occasionally, someone to not be alone with."
I never imagined this. A whole family. A home that actually feels lived in. A life that's messy and complicated and completely worth it. Even with the juice stains? Especially with the juice stains. In April, Sarah called with unexpected news. She was moving to Seattle for a job opportunity, which meant her weekends with Lily would have to change. They worked out a new custody arrangement. Lily would fly to Seattle once a month for long weekends, and Sarah would come to Denver for holidays. "How do you feel about that?" Victoria asked Lily while they made dinner together. "Okay, I guess. Seattle sounds cool, and Mom's happy about the new job. But I don't want to leave you and Dad for whole weekends every month." Victoria's heart clenched. "We'll be here when you get back, always. Promise?" "Promise." That night, Victoria brought it up with Caleb. "She's worried about leaving us," she said, about missing out on things here. "I know, but she needs her relationship with Sarah too." "What if—" Victoria paused, choosing her words carefully. "What if we made this official? What if we made her feel like this is permanent?" "What do you mean?" Victoria took a breath. "I mean, what if we got married?" The question hung in the air between them. Caleb stared at her, his expression cycling through shock, hope, and fear in rapid succession. "Are you proposing to me?" he asked. "I think I am, not very romantically, but yes." "Victoria, before you spiral into all the reasons it's too fast or too complicated, just listen. I love you. I love Lily. I want this to be permanent. I want her to know that I'm not going anywhere. That we're a family for real, not just people living together until something better comes along." "I don't think something better is coming along." "Then marry me. Make it official. Show Lily that adults can actually commit to each other for the long term." Caleb felt tears burning behind his eyes. "You want to marry me?" "I really do." "Why?" "Because you make me laugh. Because you taught me that life is more than quarterly projections. Because you're a great dad and you're trying so hard to be brave even when you're terrified. Because I can't imagine my life without you in it anymore." "I sleep on your couch for 3 years and your answer is marriage?" "I sleep on your couch for 3 years. Past tense. And yes, my answer is marriage. Unless yours is no." Caleb pulled her close, pressing his forehead to hers. "My answer is yes," he said. "Absolutely yes. Even though I'm terrified and have no idea what I'm doing, and we'll figure it out," Victoria said. "Together. Like everything else." They got married 3 months later in a small ceremony at Cheeseman Park, the same park where they'd ended their first date, where they'd played with Lily on jungle gyms, where they'd built the foundation of this improbable family. Lily was the flower girl and took her job with solemn importance. Marcus was the best man and cried more than anyone expected. Sarah flew in from Seattle and hugged Victoria with genuine warmth. Victoria's parents came from Phoenix, Robert fully recovered and insisting on walking Victoria down the aisle despite her protests that she could walk herself. Elena cried through the entire ceremony and kept telling anyone who would listen that she'd never seen her daughter so happy. When Caleb and Victoria exchanged vows they'd written themselves, standing under the pavilion with their small gathering of family and friends, Lily reached out and took both their hands. "This means we're a real family now, right?" she whispered. "We've been a real family for a while," Victoria whispered back. "This just makes it official." "Good," Lily said, apparently satisfied. The reception was at a small restaurant downtown, nothing fancy, just good food and people they loved. Marcus gave a speech about how he'd watched Caleb slowly come back to life over the past year, about how Victoria had somehow managed to break through walls Marcus had thought were permanent. Victoria's CTO talked about how she'd become a different kind of CEO, still brilliant, still driven, but with actual balance in her life. And Lily, when asked if she wanted to say something, stood up with a carefully prepared note card and said, "I'm glad Dad found Victoria. She's really nice and she bought me purple Legos and she promised not to disappear. So far she's kept that promise. I think she'll keep being good at promises." It was the best wedding speech anyone had ever given. That night, after the reception wound down and Lily was spending the night with Marcus so they could have a wedding night alone, Caleb and Victoria stood on the balcony of their apartment looking out at the Denver skyline. "We did it," Victoria said. "We did." "Are you still scared?" "Terrified, but in a good way now. The way you're supposed to be when you're starting something important." I love you, Caleb Ward. I love you too, Victoria Ward. She smiled at the sound of her new name. That's going to take some getting used to. We have time. Yeah, we do. They stood there in the summer night, the city lights spreading out before them, and for the first time in years, neither of them was waiting for disaster. They were just living, messily, imperfectly, beautifully, in the life they'd somehow managed to build together. 6 months later, on a Tuesday evening in December, Caleb came home from picking up Lily at school to find Victoria sitting at the kitchen table with an expression he couldn't quite read. "Everything okay?" he asked. "Yeah, just, I have news." "Good news or bad news?" "Depends on your perspective." She took a breath. "I'm pregnant." The words seemed to stop time. Caleb felt his knees actually wobble. "You're what?" "Pregnant. About 8 weeks. I know we weren't trying, but apparently we weren't preventing very effectively either." "Holy shit." That's one reaction. Caleb crossed to her, kneeling beside her chair. "How do you feel about it?" "Terrified, excited, completely unprepared, all of the above." Her hand went to her still flat stomach. "We're going to have a baby, Caleb." "We're going to have a baby," he repeated, the reality of it starting to sink in. "Are you okay with this?" He thought about it. Really thought about it. About his small apartment with the pull-out couch. About the life he'd been living just a year ago. About how impossible all of this would have seemed back then. "Yeah," he said, and realized he meant it completely. "I'm more than okay with this." "Really? Because I can see you starting to panic." "I'm not panicking. He paused, searching for the right words. "I'm grateful that we get to do this together. That Lily gets to be a big sister. That we're building this whole complicated, beautiful, messy life, and it keeps getting bigger and more complicated and more beautiful." Victoria's eyes filled with tears. "Damn hormones. I'm going to cry at everything for the next 7 months." "I can handle crying. Can you handle midnight cravings and mood swings and—" "Victoria, we've survived your board meetings and my panic attacks and Lily's emergency hamster situations. We can survive pregnancy." She laughed through her tears. "When did you become the optimistic one?" "About 5 minutes ago. I'm winging it." They told Lily that night over dinner. Her reaction was a mix of excitement and immediate concern about logistics. "Where's the baby going to sleep?" she asked. "We'll figure it out," Victoria said. "Maybe we'll need a bigger place eventually." "Can I help pick out the nursery colors?" "Absolutely." "And I get to be a big sister?" "The best big sister," Caleb said. Lily processed this, then nodded with satisfaction. "Okay, this is good. Our family keeps getting bigger." "It does," Victoria agreed. "I like it," Lily announced. "More people to play Legos with." 7 months later, on a warm July evening, Victoria gave birth to a daughter they named Sophie. Yes. She had Victoria's dark hair and Caleb's eyes and a cry that could wake the entire hospital floor. Lily met her baby sister with a reverence usually reserved for something incredibly fragile and precious. "She's so small," Lily whispered, carefully holding Sophie in the hospital chair while Caleb spotted her and Victoria watched with exhausted joy. "You were this small once," Caleb said. "Really? Really? Weird." They brought Sophie home 3 days later to an apartment that now felt officially too small. But it didn't matter, because they were together, all 4 of them, building this improbable family, one day at a time. That first night, while Victoria slept and Lily was at Sarah's and Sophie dozed in her bassinet, Caleb stood at the window looking out at the city. He thought about the night he'd opened that dating app on impulse, never imagining where it would lead, never imagining this. A wife he loved, 2 daughters, a life that felt almost impossibly full. His phone buzzed with a message from Marcus. "Congratulations, Dad times 2. You did it. You actually let yourself be happy." Caleb smiled at the screen and typed back, "Yeah, I really did." Behind him, Sophie made a small sound, and he turned to check on her. She was awake, her eyes unfocused but searching, trying to make sense of this strange new world she'd been born into. "Hey there," he whispered, picking her up carefully. "Welcome to the family. It's kind of a lot, I know, but I promise it's worth it." She made another small sound, and Caleb took it as agreement. Victoria stirred in bed, watching him with sleepy eyes. "You're good at this," she murmured. "At what?"
being a dad, being a husband, being someone who doesn't run away when things get complicated. I'm working on it, he said, one day at a time. That's all any of us can do. He sat on the edge of the bed, Sophie in his arms, Victoria's hand in his, and felt the truth of that settle into his bones. They were building this together, imperfectly, messily, with fear and hope, and the kind of love that grew stronger precisely because it had been tested. Outside, the Denver skyline glittered in the summer dark. Inside, their small family breathed together, learning how to be what they'd become. And for the first time in his life, Caleb wasn't waiting for the other shoe to drop. He was just living.